So what you Golden Wonders are going to see, you're about to experience out there is probably going to be a two-parter. I'm not going to post this entire session as one giant chunk, but I'm not going to wait, an entire week to post both sessions. I'll probably just end up chopping this one up right where I said we were going to end tonight, and then we decided not to. And right about here where I'm talking, I think I'll just chop it up and post the second half, like in concordance with the first half, and we will call it Side A and Side B.
So we are continuing?
We're going to continue, yeah. He got Agaragis up. He probably went in there and been like, you got to get up. If you don't get up...
This is
a matter of life and death
situation.
I will stick you outside.
Wait,
it could be only an hour. Like, I don't know how long everybody's mental fortitude is, but I'm up all night, so this is on y'all.
I mean, I don't have work in the morning, so I can run it for a while anyways.
I work nights. This is just another night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it was just shift, so I'm fine.
I can run it. Indeed, I can run it. Indeed, I can run it. So, I will
for at least a few more hours.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's if we get going pretty quick here. What do you say? We go from now till like maybe 3, and then just call it then. That way, Side B can be, well, you know what? I say that, right? I say that, and who knows? 3 o'clock in the morning is pretty late.
Like I say, it depends on how long, because I know Android's going to be tired regardless in an hour or two, so how long he can hang. But again, I'm not calling anybody. I'm just like, logically, you know what I mean?
We're going to call him out. We're going to call him out.
Don't be no bitch.
Not all of us fucking sleep all day like you, child.
Okay, and?
Okay. I'm back.
All right, so we're going to run this now for a few more hours, and then we're going to... So because we're doing Side B to this now, we're going to hit this like a regular session again. So welcome everybody to Side B of tonight's session. All you Golden Wonders. I'm here with them old school gamers. Let's do these quick introductions here. We got AGTX, the Dragons.
We're gonna go through it. Introductions.
yeah. We're gonna.
Nice.
That way, anybody listening to Side B will realize this is a second half to that first half. But we're gonna kind of recap it for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I just thought it was funny.
His name is Uquill. He is a human Slayer, which is a custom class / dragon shaman. We have Icy Hot _2305, who will be playing the half drow Zoltan Heisenberg, the deep druid. That's not your mama's druid. He doesn't get his powers from nature, not the above ground nature, not the forests, not the fields, not the prairies. He gets them from the deep places, the caves, the mountains. Underground. That's where his nature comes from. The cockles, if you will. Then we have Cassid 69. Welcome back, Cassid. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I had to move it closer.
And she will be playing Agaragis, who is a Myconid. A Myconid's a 4-foot person, like a halfling. But they are mushroom folk, humanoid mushrooms. Agaragis is a Pion Mender, which is a custom class of the Myconid that we created. Basically just heals and buffs. But interestingly, they are a sub-race of Myconid called androgyne, which androgyne are neither male nor female. They are actually like plants, completely asexual. Then we have Tempest Inferno, who will be playing Otis Hirokin, the halfling. And the interesting thing about Otis and Tempest, really, is the fact that They were a part of the group before we started recording our sessions. And then he had to drop out for a little while because life gets in the way, but we've got him back now. So, and there was much rejoicing. Yay! And Otis will be playing a cleric / favored soul / champion of Obod High. And that's our halfling, Otis Herokin, everybody. Then we have Android, who will be playing Android Farizon, the half wood elf, who is a bard / paladin, which paladins in this campaign is a prestige class. All killer, no filler. / Saint of Corlon Lorethian. And he is Lord Android Farizon because he's got a manor and everything else. The self-proclaimed main character, unless you accidentally get sucked into the underworld. Then Quill becomes the main character. And I am your humble DM, Lord Pog. And yeah, let's do another opening, guys. Doodly, 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 doodly.
Even better a
I like
second
that every
time.
For a second time in the night makes it even better. We love it.
All right, let's get it going, guys. As a brief recap, Zoltan and Otis were sucked to meet. Were sucked.
Oh, yeah.
They were whisked away. They were whisked away to go and speak with Bakab, the god of magic. Because they were using forces that, according to where they are right now, should not exist or shouldn't be in their possession. Zoltan was taken astrally, meaning it was his essence, not his body, that was pulled there. And because his body was left unwatched, Agaragis finally pulled off their plan and stole Zoltan's hourglass. A device that is in his chest that helps him. It does a lot of things, but what he's been, sometimes it whisks him away to a different plane of existence, and most of the time he uses it to go a few minutes back in time to reset some things. Agaragis took it and gave it to one of the Mycadid elite, as they're known, an androgynine elite by the name of Dodd, who, because he's an elder Mycadid, he's actually 5 foot tall, not 4. And Android and Quill followed Agaragis into their pocket dimension, their pocket as they call it. And when Dodd took the hourglass, which the hourglass right now is like encased in an obsidian jewel. It's almost like a defense mechanism for it. It's encased in this obsidian jewel, and Dodd managed to knock Android down, but Quill followed them back through the door, and they all three ended up in the underworld. Then Quill summoned Yucca, his chimera, which a chimera is a 3-headed beast, body of a lion, tail of a serpent, which I guess it's like a 4-headed beast, really. With a goat, a lion and a green dragon heads. And they agreed to form an uneasy alliance to get through the underworld because Quill accidentally broke the key that Dodd was using to get them there through the pocket dimension, and that kind of made the teleportation, I guess you could say, screwy. And so they ended up in a part of the underworld that is called the In-Between. And that is a dangerous part of the underworld. It's a part of the underworld where is uncivilized, and a lot of the caverns and things like that in there are not meant to last. They're dug out for a little while so that you can traverse it, but a lot of them collapse and things like that. And there's denizens that exist in the in-between that are quite dangerous, according to Dodd. Android, Zoltan, and Otis. Eventually, Otis and Zoltan, after learning about the Hourglass's true name, the time frame, from the Cobb, are sent back, and they speak with the fairies. And the fairies, according to where they are, the fairies aren't these tiny little wispy little things, you know? They're tall humanoid women, like as tall as like humans, as it were, who came and got them because, as they put it, we remember the old ways. And so they came and got Android, Otis, and Zoltan, and their leader, the lady, spoke with them for a little while, and then they were all sent back to Peng Shun. And they awoke inside the Forgotten Palace and have been told that they know the location of Fang Titan, which that's a long story, and I encourage you Golden Wonders to go back and listen to our sessions, but Fang Titan is the reason why they're even on this continent in the first place. He is an elemental weird who they need to speak with because they accidentally started killing the elements. So they're trying to fix that too. You guys also learned of Puddle Snap, Tolobite Puddle Snap, an architect who may be the one who is responsible for why you guys ended up where you did in the first place, out of pocket, as they were calling it. And you agreed to look into that matter later on. But you now know the location of Fang Titan, so Android, Zoltan, and Otis are all going to head out to go and find him and speak with him. Agaragis, Quill, and Dodd and Yucca are all in the in-between in the underworld traveling as well. And that brings us up to speed. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
I believe so.
Let's get it. Quill, you may want to bring your dice back up. Because we're going to start there. Since Agaragis so graciously woke up to play some more D&D for us, everybody give Agaragis a round of applause. Thank you, Agaragis.
Hooray.
Yay.
Are you asleep again?
Yeah.
Hooray.
They went right back to sleep. So, Agaragis, where we left off on side A of tonight's session, Dodd was talking to you. He had a long talk with Quill, and then when Quill and Yucca walked off, he looked at you and he looked down at you and he said, "Don't worry, Agaragis. I promised you I will fix this, and I will fix this for you." And Agaragis is out.
Oh no, I thought you had more to say. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, okay. My fault.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm just glad you got back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mighty gangster of you. Mighty gangster. What a trooper.
Well, thank you. Agaricus just kind of like does another bow to him and says, "Thank you."
As you two walk, Quill and Yucca Dodd allows Uquil and Yucca to kind of walk ahead of them a ways to where he can speak with you a little privately. Uquil and Yucca are up in front of them, kind of arguing with one another, and Yucca's like looking at his gut and rubbing it and going, "I can't help the fact that they feed me whole game, all right? The whole game, all right? Don't talk to me about my weight, all right? You'd be lucky to eat this well." But as they're having this conversation, Dodd looks at you, Agaragis, and he says, "I have a question for you, Agaragis. A serious question."
He says, "Okie dokie."
Love the way Agaragis just talks. Okie dokie. He looks at you and he says, "Back there, I gave you the option to betray me, to make it look like you were betraying me, and return the jewel back to your friends. But you chose to carry out the mission. Why?"
Agaricus ain't no hoe. He's loyal.
Did Agaragis just refer to themselves in the third person? Dot says, "Well," he just kind of nods. And he says, "Well, yes." And for you Golden Wonders out there, like I said, Dot is an androgyny elder Myconid too. Dodd is a humanoid mushroom as well, but his body looks like it's covered in like moss, kinda, and his head isn't a head. Where his shoulders are outgrows a plume of different like what looks like split mushroom tops that looks like a mane, like a split mushroom top that looks like a mane, almost like a collar lining his shoulders, and then in the center of all that grow out several different kinds of mushrooms and plumage and things like that. So it's kind of like talking to a bouquet of flowers, of mushroom flowers. And he looks at you, Agaragis, and he says, "Well, yes, you're loyal, but I thought you were loyal to these guys as well. You called them your friends. Did you not?"
He says, "I do. I do still call them my friends. I just had an obligation."
So I'm gonna explain something to you, Agaragis. No one can serve two masters. They will love one and end up hating the other. He goes, in the end, you're going to have to decide. Are you going to carry out Zugdamoy's will, which in the end will betray these that you call friends, and they probably won't forgive you for that, but you will still be held in high regard amongst the Myconid. Or you can continue to accomplish great things with these guys. And though that may mean turning your back on Zugdamoy and even the Myconid, he thinks about the next words he's going to use. He says, you may accomplish something that no Myconid has ever done before. And that is be your own person.
He just kind of looks up at him and he goes, "I just wanted a present from my mom."
With that, he kind of chuckles and he says, "Yes." He goes, "But you don't know our mother, Agaragis. Not like I know our mother." We are the closest things to pure beings she's ever made, and our life is still one of servitude. And then he just stops what he's saying and goes, oh, anyways, just think on what I've told you. No one can serve two masters. Excuse me. No one can serve two masters. He says, let's catch up with these two before they accidentally, like, walk into something and collapse the very chamber in which we're in. And he hurries with you up to Yucca and Uquil. Yucca's just talking to you, and he's like, I don't know why you think that I can't handle whatever it is we're going to get into just because I've gained a few pounds of belly fat.
I mean, you'll make a great decoy.
He's like, I am the decoy that kills. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the shadow.
Here we go. You're a dragon. Yes, we know.
He goes, I was once a great beast. A monster among monsters.
Uh-huh.
The goat just kind of, he's like, oh, shut up. You're supposed to be on my side. He says, I'll have you know right now that all it's going to take is one turd, and all this is going to flush out of me. And I will be the most dangerous thing in these caverns.
More than a little disturbed at how true that probably really is. And that probably worries me more than anything we'll find out here.
Go ahead and roll me a listen.
You said a listen?
A listen. Loyal lobster. Rock lobster. Rock lobster.
What is my listen? Thank you. Listen is 10 plus 14, 24.
So, while you and Yucca are, having your back and forth, Yucca's in the middle of being like, I was once upon a time the most dangerous thing roaming the land, and then you hear like what sounds like a rock. Like somebody threw a rock down a hole, like a big old hole, and then you hear it hit, that echoing sound, when it hits the ground, it's like, clack. And
Will just immediately fucking turns to Yuck and snaps and shut up.
Yucca's like, oh, what?
Like, something's here.
Agaricus, you can roll a listen too, as if you would like.
Okay, 1 second.
I turn on my presence aura to give anybody else, or not presence. My senses. Aura gives +3 to all listen and spot and initiative, but yeah. +3 to whatever you know.
And just so you know, if you even though we don't necessarily roll initiative anymore, that initiative within that presence aura will get that +3 will always get factored into your guys' initiative if we ever have to roll opposing initiatives like group initiative versus whatever's initiative. That +3 will get factored in if you still use it, because that way it's still a useful thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, that you can still add to the group initiative with the presence. Yeah, Agaricus, you hear the clacking too, like amidst everything that they're saying, you hear the clacking. and you instantly stop as well, and so does Dodd, because Agaragis, you're from the underworld. You know about the in-between and the dangerous things that exist down here. Agaragis should have like perfect dark vision, if I'm not mistaken. Like, Agaragis should be able to see in pitch black. You, Quill, I think you've got dark vision out to what, 60 feet or something?
Out to 20. I have a low light vision.
20 low light vision. Okay, so you're kind of like,
I'm struggling.
yeah, you're basically being able to see like 20 feet ahead of you in every direction you go. So you're kind of moving slow, anyways. But
I have the remedy for this thing. Don't you worry.
yeah. But Agaragis, you got perfect dark vision. You see down here, and you know that there is all kinds of manner of dangerous beast in the underworld. You know? You can roll a spot to see if you want to try and see if you can't suss out whatever's making that noise.
It's in skills, right?
It is. $27. So you get to looking out there, Agaragis, you get to looking around, and you see a couple of things. You realize that you guys are traveling alongside a ledge. You've been walking alongside a rather wide ledge, but too far over, it just leads to a drop off. And because down here the eyes can play tricks, you didn't even realize just how close to a ledge you guys actually were. But now you're looking down and you see a cavern down there below you. And down in there you see a pool of water, Agaragis. To begin with, you see a pool of water that seems to have like a miniature waterfall running out of the rock down into it. What was making that noise down there is you see some dead drow. Probably drow bandits. They're notorious for running around. Typically, drow bandits are men, because they're men who ran away from drow society and became bandits down in the underworld. And they tend to make their hideouts in the in-between. And you see some drow bandits down there, but they're all dead. They're laying there, and on top of them, you see these large, I mean, they're large. They're like the size of, I want to say they're like the size, well, how big would I describe these things? Because they're bigger than your typical Rottweiler, but they're not as big as, say, a bear, right? They're like just large.
Bigger than your characters.
Yeah, way bigger than Agaragis. You know what I'm saying? But they're not. But they run. They're like on four legs. You know, they don't stand upright. They're not bipedal. They stand on four legs, and they look like large roaches. Right? They look like large cockroaches, and they're sitting there, and as you inspect them, you realize that perhaps these things didn't actually kill these guys. These guys look like they've been dead for a while now. Something killed them, but you're not entirely sure what it was, right? But these things are eating them, but they're not actually eating them. Upon further inspection, you realize they're eating like parts of their clothing. It looks like. But that doesn't make any sense. But because you're so far away from them still, you you can't really tell, but it doesn't look like they're actually eating the dead bodies. It looks like they're eating their clothes or something. Dodd whispers to you, Agargus, what do you see?
He goes, men, dead. Roaches?
Roaches?
Eating men?
Giant roaches eating men.
I think so.
Says, well, that shouldn't be a problem. We're still up top. And he goes to say that, and when he looks over where you guys are headed, and his voice just trails off. Because he realizes that this ledge you guys are on actually rounds about and starts to decline down into the very area that you see those creatures in. He says, well, we're way ahead. They shouldn't be a problem. We're up here and they're not. Says, oh. And then he kind of pats you on the shoulder, Equal, and he goes, we have a problem.
Equal just looks at him and he's like, what?
Says, well, he goes, we're actually up on a ledge. We've been walking along a ledge for a while now. I didn't realize it because things tend to fade out down here. He goes, unless you focus real hard. He goes, I can't imagine you can even see very far. He says, Agargus is acting like our eyes right now, and they say they see dead bodies down below us being eaten by giant roaches. He goes, I've seen roaches before. We get roaches down here. I've never seen giant ones before. Says, which... Huh?
Are they known to kill things, or are they just scavengers?
He goes, I have no idea. He says, Agargus isn't very big on details. As I'm sure you know, you've traveled with them for a while.
Unfortunately.
What did you Quill ask?
He asked if the roaches were eating them, or if the roaches are known for killing things down here.
They're feeding on whatever those dead men are down there.
He says, well, the issue isn't so much whether or not they're eating them or not. The issue is that I thought we were safe because we're so far up high up here, but the path ahead takes us down into where they are. He says, we may have to do some battle here.
Watch your clothes.
I forgot I had this.
Agargus says, watch your clothes.
That is all.
Dodd's like, what does that mean?
Equal just shakes his head. He's like, I just figured it out a long time ago.
Huh?
Equal says, fuck. How far down is it?
He kind of looks over and looks at the ledge and he goes, it's a ways down there, but there's the path that takes us down there. It's a decline.
Well, how far is it as a sheer drop?
As far as a sheer drop, we're talking like 80, 90 feet. Like, you know what? It's like 100 feet. Let's just be real about this. Like, it's up. You know, you guys are in caverns. This is a drop. If you could not see in the dark, you would still, like, it. You know what I mean? You'd never see the bottom of this.
You know what? I may do something insanely stupid. On principle, Okay. My force breath pushes things away. But if I'm coming in hot and use it, it should at least slow me enough to not kill me upon impact.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same principle as Banshee from the X-Men.
Exactly. You knew where I was going.
That's how he flies. He just screams at the ground and it propels him through the air and then he lands. He just softens his breath and lets himself land.
All right, so he looks at them and he's like, all right, I'm going to do something stupid. I don't know how this place works. But in all my experiences and everywhere I've been, the bugs are the least of your problem. Forever and ever, they will be the least of your problem.
Yucca chimes in and goes, I see in the dark.
Take a peek.
He goes wandering up to the edge and he goes, they don't look edible.
What do they look like?
Roaches. Armored roaches. They're eating something too. Yeah.
What are the corpses that they're eating? Are they human?
He goes, oh no, they're not human. They're definitely they're not human. He goes, they got that dark skin and light hair. I'd say they're the drow.
Oh great. There's no way the fucking roaches killed the drow.
He goes, nope. He goes, but he looks at Agaragis and goes, I see what you mean about the clothes thing. They're not eating the corpses. They're eating something on the corpses.
It's even worse. Okay.
Don't want them getting into your pockets.
Yuquil just kind of sighs. He's like, well, fuck. You guys aren't exactly good at being decoys, are you?
Dodd goes, I can. He goes, I can hold my own in a fight. Plus I can heal you if need be.
You're gonna need to. Yuquil just smiles at Yuck and he's like, escort them safely closer, and when you get there, give me a nice whistle. I'll make my entrance and bring whatever killed them out. And I just look at I look over to both of them and I'm like, oh, it's unsightly to see you two like this.
Yeah,
Keep me alive when I get down there.
Dodd goes, yeah. Me and Agaragis, we're both natural healers. He goes, I thought you knew this about us.
Yuquil's like, I rarely need it. And he looks at Agaragis and he's like, it knows. I rarely need it. But I'm going to on this one. I'm going to do something really stupid. Just go with Yucca to where I designated and I'll get everything's attention. Probably within 100 yards.
Yeah, because like I'll land him over by the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Very well.
As they go walking off,
Yeah.
I pull out one of my pints of oil and start wrapping it in a little bit of the linen I have, dipping some of it in it. You know what I mean? I'm making a fucking makeshift Molotov, basically.
Okay.
And then I take my one of my thunder sticks and I like just slam it in the top. Like I said, I'm about to make whatever killed the drow will know I'm here and I'm ringing the dinner bell.
All right. Yucca picks up Agaragis and puts them on his back. He's like, just hold on, okay? Motions for Dodd, and Dodd just kind of gets on his back. He's like, are we going to run down the hill? Yucca says, not exactly. And he flies up. But you know, he's got that awkward flight. He flies more like a fat freaking dragonfly than a majestic bird, and he just kind of like flies out over past the edge and then slowly flies over to about where the pool is and then starts to lower himself. He looks over his shoulder at Agargus. He's like, pretty neat, huh?
He just has a big smile and gives him a thumbs up.
He's like, that's right. That's right. I am neat. Worthy of a thumbs up. And he like lowers himself down by the pool. And then, lets you guys get off. Now, as you get lower, Agargus, you get a clearer picture of these things. And they are large, cockroach looking creatures, and they are not eating like, okay, so you said they were eating their clothes, but you realize that it's not their clothes that they're eating. It's not them that they're eating, but it's not their clothes either. Right? These drow had like swords and shields and bits of armor on them and things like that. And you realize that it's their armor, their weaponry that these things are devouring. And they're not eating it whole. They're spitting like a type of acid on it and turning it to like a liquid and then drinking the liquid off the ground as they do it.
Mood.
Yeah. Basically turning, yeah, I mean, really, it's a mood. And, yeah, Dodd's like, oh, I've heard of these things before. So, Quill, what do you want to do?
Well, Yuko lights up his little makeshift Molotov, and he's just like, well, this is gonna sting like a bitch. Kind of like he can't see, kind of judges where it's at, and he's like, yeah, right about that. He's just throwing it at the general vicinity of where they're gonna be. You know what I mean? Like where he thinks the.
Oh, you trying to throw like a Molotov down at them?
Yeah, because he can't see, and like at any point he's got to lighten it up so he can fight. So he's just like, all right. And he just fucking heaves it. He's got a thunderstone also like wedged in the top, so when it hits, it's gonna fucking pop and hopefully disorientate them enough to where it's like just utter chaos when he comes in.
Go ahead and roll me a D100.
Where's my? I'm gonna have to roll that on the D20 because I've only got percentage dice.
Well, you could roll the percentage. Are you talking about that 00 die?
Yeah.
You just roll it twice. If you get the 00s the first time, then that means you've got a 0 in front of whatever number you get. Does that make any sense?
Gotcha.
But if you roll the 00 twice, that means you got 100%. So roll it and then tell me what the first number is.
1.
1? Okay. Roll it again.
3.
So that's a 13%. Ooh. Okay. So you see how that works?
Yeah.
Okay. So you chuck that freaking Molotov, right? And you throw it, and you guys watch Agargus. You watch as you see this flaming bottle just come flying through the air and completely overshoot these creatures and land somewhere off in the distance and just hit and catch fire. And all this flame happens. But it does cause them all to like stop what they're doing and turn around and look at the fire and start slowly, like very cautiously moving towards its direction. Completely distracted by it.
Garrus is like, oh, we might still have a shot.
Yuko's like, well, fuck. So much for literally throwing a snowball in the dark, huh?
Yeah, well, you could see the fire, at least from up, even from up there. You could see the fire happen. You can't be for sure if you hit anything, but you do see the fire does allow you some light down there to be able to see now. It's like the same principle as like cracking a glow stick or a flare and dropping it down into a hole. You know what I'm saying? So it did give you some light. You know that you didn't hit any of the creatures, but because it gave you enough radius of light, you do slowly begin to see these things coming towards the fire, and you get a better look at them. And
Equal just takes a deep breath and he's like, "This is gonna hurt." He realizes how far down it is. He's like, "Ouch. It's been a long time." He backs up from the ledge and is just around. Sends it.
He goes jumping.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking send it.
All right, you go falling through the air, just, and you begin to enact your plan. As you start to get closer, you begin to shout to try and like mitigate the fall, to cushion it, to propel yourself up. And it does, at first, it's a jarring experience because it actually pushes you up and you have to be like, oh crap, and kind of soften your breath a little bit as you begin to like control your fall a little bit. It takes a little bit. You kind of like, you get a little excited, you go up a few feet, then you calm down, you check yourself, and you fall a little bit more. And this all happens like in a matter of seconds. You know what I'm saying? It's like a quick, just, oh crap, and go ahead and roll me a reflex.
$20.
20? Okay, so you manage to you don't die, okay? You don't just go hurtling to the ground and slap. But this is a technique that you haven't quite mastered yet. And so maybe you go in with a little bit more force than you thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that causes you to actually hit the ground a little harder than you would like to have. And it does 24 points of subdual damage.
Cool.
As you hit, just whap! Like you kind of feel one of your ribs just kind of crack a little bit. You know what I mean? You're like, oh!
That's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah. You're allowed to go ahead and roll me a tumble now.
Uh, 18.
18. Okay, so not only do your ribs crack, but you don't manage to like put your shoulder into the drop either. So you land prone. I mean, you're not sprayed out or anything. You're just kind of prone. You know what I'm saying? You're like on your knees, like one knee and one hand touching the ground, and you're like down, holding your ribs, like, oh shoot, you know, like, ow, that hurt. Oh, that hurt good. That hurt so good. Agaricus. And the screaming, because you did the shouting and everything. Now some of these roach monsters, there's like 5 of them. Some of them are still inspecting the fire, but at least 3 of them turn around to inspect the screaming that you're doing. You know what I mean? And so now you see these now you get a clear vision of them. You know what I mean? And they're like looking at you, and they're kind of slowly creeping in your direction. Agaricus, go ahead and roll me a listen.
Okay, one second.
Yeah, don't forget to activate your ring too for some of your checks.
That's what. I was kind of clicking around trying to find it on my like menu screen thing, but.
I think listen is a wisdom, so you would activate the owl's wisdom, as it were. if I'm not, or it's in auras. It's not in the actual spells. So you would activate the, well, shoot, I don't know because I can't find it now. Oh,
The purple?
yeah, the purple,
Okay.
the perp.
Yes. I would like to activate the purple aura.
Okay.
Owl's wisdom.
Yeah, because it's
She
a
still got
free,
the plus.
huh?
I say well, are they within 30 feet of me?
It is quite a large cap. I would say they're probably about like 50 feet away from you at this point. Because they landed over by the pool, and you kind of landed closer, tried to like land closer to the roaches. You know what I'm saying?
No, I gotta look and see how far that reaches now because I am higher level. Because I know it was 30 feet and I thought it went up later. But go ahead. I'll look.
Okay, go ahead and roll that, Agargus.
What was it? Sorry.
A listen.
Oh, okay.
And we just add the +4 to whatever you roll there. $14. Oh man. Okay. Well, moving along with that then.
No.
That's never good.
Yeah, that's never good. That's never good. You guys are just hanging out, Dodd, Yucca, and you, Agargus, and then suddenly you feel something slimy wrap around your body and instantly yank you up into the air. You hear Yucca and Dodd both. Yucca's not so easy to grab, and he begins fighting whatever it is, and Dodd, yeah, he's still on Yucca, so, but yeah, you get yanked up into the air, and you hear Dodd start yelling, "It's a dark maw!" And you realize, Agargus, you are in a giant tentacle being held above the pool of water, and you look down into the water, and you see that the water has split now because a giant mouth has appeared out of the water. Like, think a whirlpool, only instead of being made out of water, it's made out of some kind of mouth with, like, tons of teeth in it. And, like, rows of sharp teeth. And it's huge. I mean, this thing is massive inside this pit of water. And all these tentacles are coming off of its, out of the water off of it. And it very much intends to eat you.
Why?
Because you failed your listen.
Can Agaricus like spit in his mouth?
You're allowed to play as much D&D as you like. So Agaricus, you hawk a loogie down into its mouth. And you watch as that, like, because, like, think of like a lamprey, you know? A lamp, you know, it's just a giant circle just with rows of teeth leading all the way down into some black pit. You know what I mean? And you spit down into that hole and you watch as the whole thing just kind of quivers for a minute. The whole mouth just kind of quivers. It's like... and begins to bring you down towards its mouth.
Yeah, can I shoot my spore at it?
Your arms are currently bound by its tentacle. You will have to roll a. You can roll a strength, or you can roll an escape artist. But before we get to all that, Android, Zoltan, and Otis, what are you all doing at the moment? How are you all preparing for this trip you're about to take to find Fang Titan?
Oh, I'm confronting Solar.
All right. What is
Here we
Android?
go with that.
Yeah. What is Android doing, or is he standing, or is he gonna stay?
I'm gonna referee that conversation.
Okay. What about Otis? What is Otis doing?
Otis is cheering it on.
Okay. All right, Zoltan, tell me about this confrontation that you have. Let me pick the picture for you. You guys are currently in the chambers of Mazaru that is being worked on to be fixed. And you see Yin and Yang standing there. Now, standing there before you are two 9 feet tall, like close to 9 foot tall dragoon men. These men are the biggest dragoon you've seen yet. Like, most dragoon are a little taller than an elf, but not as tall as a human. But these dragoon men are huge. And one is a crystalline blue, and the other is the red charcoal coloring. You get the sense from them, Otis, you especially Otis, but just to reiterate for Android and Zoltan, you get the sense that they're not wholeheartedly dragoon. You know, there's some kind of weird combination, and you figure that's probably where they get this
magic.
this size from. Yeah, they're all magic. No, but yeah, they're extremely large and muscular too. They're not like these tall, lanky dudes. I mean, these guys are massive. They are Mazaru's boys, Yin and Yang, and they brought you there to do what?
You know what? I'm gonna pull up my monster manual.
Okay.
Oh, nah.
You pull it out, but you don't really get anything from them because they're not monsters.
Cool.
Well, I mean, hey,
Whoa.
it's cool though.
No,
I mean,
look at this. It's blank.
yeah, you try to read it, and it kind of gives you that saying too. It's like, these are technically not monsters.
Technically. Oh, no.
Well, technically, everyone's a monster. Technically, you're a monster.
No, I'm a human. I'm
Well, I mean, by definition, human means monster.
human.
Nah.
So
Yeah,
I'm a monster in bed.
Person. Person means
but yeah,
monster.
you guys got brought in there to speak with Yin and Yang, so Yin and Yang could like tell you what they found and where the location is and everything. But once you guys get into that chamber, Zoltan turns and does what, Zoltan?
Oh, I'm looking at him, be like, so were you gonna ever tell me anything about the time frame?
Zoltan. Solar looks at you, Zoltan, and goes, "Excuse me?"
I got the feeling that you were never gonna let me know any information about the time frame.
He goes, "Now." He goes, "Whatever it is you're trying to say, just say it." He goes, "Don't beat around the bush of what you're saying. Just speak your feelings."
How much of the time frame did you know and you didn't want to tell me?
All of it. He goes, "But I wasn't going to withhold what you needed to know from you." He goes, "We just never had any time to talk about it." He goes, "Yes, what that was no secret to me. I knew what the time frame was when I first saw it in your chest. I even knew that it..." Excuse me, I burped. He goes, "I even knew that it was actually called the time frame and not the hourglass." He pats Android on the cheek and goes, "Android, if anybody can tell you and vouch for the fact that I sometimes know more than I let on." I don't tell you everything because, well, you saw where we just were. Right?
I did.
Says exactly. He goes, "Do you realize that one He's like, I'm surprised we didn't screw anything up.
Who's to say we didn't?
He looks at you, Otis, and kind of, he looks at you, Otis, and kind of shudders, and he goes, oh. He's like, by Lorethian himself, I hope not.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Alrighty then. If that's the case, on our journey there, may you fill me in on what I need to know and nothing else?
He says, I suppose we can. We can have this talk when... Yeah. We'll have the talk.
Okay.
He says, I'll tell you what I can. And once he says that, you just see yin and yang, and I believe it's yin, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yin, the blue one, the blue crystalline and white. He just goes, awkward.
Nice.
And
I giggle at that a little bit.
the black, red, and charcoal yang, he just looks at Yin, and he's like, dude, what the? He goes, so, you all ready to know what we got to tell you, or?
Yes, our apologies.
He's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. He's like, when you don't have to be so formal with us. We're not ceremonial types.
Yeah, what do you mean by our apologies?
Fair enough. My apology.
He looks down at you, Otis, and realizes, like, it's almost like he didn't see you before, and he goes, who are you?
I'm nothing, no. Creep into your nightmares.
He like points down at Otis, and he goes, what is this? Is this a child? What is that?
I'm
Excuse
laughing. I'm sorry, Zoltan's laughing now.
About that time, Mazaru goes, Yang, you are being extremely rude to our guest.
Yeah,
That-
no kidding.
That is Otis Hirokin. He is known as a halfling. He is a companion of the foreigners. My apologies. He is a companion of these men. Because he wasn't. He's like, was he with him the whole time and I just missed him or what? Like,
I mean, if you must go, I just crawled out of hell.
he looks at you for a minute and he goes, oh yeah, which one?
I forget which one was it.
The one with 9 levels.
The one with 9 legs.
Wow, thank you so much. That really narrowed it down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's not.
Nine levels. 9 levels. I'm just assuming, yeah.
Mazaru's like, that is not important. What's important is the information you have for our guests. Yang's like, oh yeah, right. So Yin and I, we went up the Dragon Scale Mountain, and he goes, he's like, can you believe this weather? He's like, we're just,
Yes.
No, I suppose not.
he's like, we're traversing through the mountains, camping out and trying to find this thing, and then out of the blue, out of nowhere, it's like 1,000,000+1 Shenlong just start pissing on our heads.
Yeah.
He's like, you know how early? He's like, what? He just stops and looks at you, Otis,
I'm wiping the sweat from my head right now.
and then he goes to speak again and just stops and looks at you again, Otis.
Like,
And
Mike,
then
what you looking at? Say it.
And then he goes to speak again. He goes, well, no, it's just the weirdest thing, because you know how early it is for rain like this? It's almost like it's typhoon season out there right now. He goes, it's like the white moon is coming early. Which, on a side note, a few sessions back, I made a mistake when I was talking about the seasons. I referred to the white moon as the blue moon, and that's not correct. The blue moon actually comes before the white moon. Think of the blue moon as fall. Think of the white moon as winter. Yellow moon is spring. Red moon is summer. So, yeah.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, so it shouldn't be going from yellow to blue. It should be going from blue to white right now. But anyways, he's like, but it's like it's like the blue moon has shown early. Which, they don't refer to it necessarily by colors like that, but they do just kind of like as a form of slang for them. He referred to it in the correct manner for their peoples when he said typhoon. It's like the typhoon has already approached. I don't understand. Or typhoon for white, I mean. It's like that typhoon is just before the white comes and we get the snow.
Cool story, bro. Anyway.
He's like, that just doesn't make any sense. I don't. And then Yin or Yang. Yeah, Yang chimes in and goes, anyways, yeah, so we're traveling through all this crappy weather and we just found him. He was just there hanging out. He goes, I can mark it on the map for you if you'd like. And he pulls out a map and he goes, you're going to need this map anyways. And he goes, here, I'll show it to you. And he shows you a continental map. And he says, so you'll see our lands down here, down to the southwest. That is us. That is technically where we are right now. He goes off to the right. You'll see where the 6th demon shogunate begins over there by the Sangoon Mountains. But where we're looking is more west, over to the Dragon Scale Mountains over here. And then he just points out the area to you, and he says, right there. That is about where we ran into Fang Titan. And I suppose if you look at the roll 20, I'll blip it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Word.
Word is bond.
That's where he appeared to us. I don't think we would have ever actually found him. I think he's just as confused by this weather as we are. Because when he showed up, he was not happy. I thought, and he just kind of laughs and his brother laughs and he's like, we thought we were going to have to kill ourselves a legendary foe. Yeah, we thought we were going to have to take him out.
Sheesh.
He was ticked. He was like, are you the ones who did this? And we're like, did what? He's like, somebody broke the balance or something like that. He was talking crazy talk. He said, he said, come. Yeah, he said, well, if we're not the ones that did it, we can just move on our ways because the ones who did it will eventually make their way to him and he's got some words for them, whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah, I believe. How did he put it? And Yin goes, oh, he put it something crazy like, I will speak my questions and they will answer me. I believe is how he put it. Yeah, all menacing and scary like.
You know what? That kind of sounds like you will a little bit.
Yeah, I'd hate to be them.
Yang gets kind of quiet for a minute and goes, well, he kind of was scary though. Mazaru's like,
bitch.
She goes, so you mapped it out for them then? They're like, yeah. She goes, okay, go wash up and get some rest. She goes, you guys are gonna kill Fang Titan. Get out of here with that. She goes, I apologize for my sons. They are kind of like their father was when he was their age.
They're fun.
I find them quite amusing.
I hang out with them.
She says, really? You would?
Sure.
Yeah. Why not? They look like they can punch something well.
She says, well, that's good, because I kind of have a favor to ask of you.
Oh god.
So you want us to bring them with?
She says, I would like, before you return home, to take them with you. Established, she looks at you, Android, and she says, I really wish for them to see their father's homeland. And perhaps stay there for a while and learn his ways.
Yoshi is... this is a meta question. Yoshi's unaware of them? Is that...
Yeah,
Right.
Yoshi has no idea that they exist.
Okay, so I guess Android is going to kind of inquire about that. He's going to be like, are you familiar with Yoshi? Forgive me if I've asked you this before, but are you familiar with Yoshi?
She says, Yoshi?
Never
She
mind.
says, what an... No. You know a person named Yoshi?
I do.
She says, that's a Dragonian name.
Mm.
Oh,
She says, where did you meet a Yoshi?
well...
On World 5.
Yeah. Android kind of scratches his cheek and he's like, well, I'm sorry if this information causes you any distress, but Yoshi Lorethian is currently the leader of the nation of Lorethian, where I'm from.
Yoshi Lorethian? You mean she's related to Corlon?
Yep, the one and only.
Like, how?
That is his daughter.
When you say this, her eyes just kind of tear up for a minute, and you watch as a tear runs down her cheek, and she says, and he named her Yoshi Lorethian? He gave her a Dragonian name. And you just see this like look of like happiness but sadness come over her face as well. She says that man, he was pure magic.
You knew it. It just never, not a single time.
Motherfucker, a player.
And you guys have just become unawareingly knowing of how Yoshi was named. How she got a name like Yoshi Lorethian.
Yeah, no kidding. And Android's kind of like quiet for a moment, and he's like, "I'm bringing this to your attention because of what you're asking me. I will do so if you wish, but I just want you to understand the situation."
She looks at you now, Android, and she goes, "What do you mean? Of course my sons need to go and meet their sister. They need to protect their sister. You said she is the leader of her land?"
And when she says that, he just bows very deep and low, and he says, I just wanted to make sure there were no reservations. I am grateful for your decision, actually.
She says, "Of course not. My boys will be happy to know they have a little sister. They will protect her with their lives. You saw them. They're not very smart, but trust me when I say something. They can snap a boar in half. No problem whatsoever."
Very well. Then it would be my honor.
She says, "Thank you, Android." She says, "Don't forget about us."
I will send word.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so now you guys have the map and everything, where to go. What do you all want to do? How do y'all want to approach this? You tell me what your plans are now.
So I guess Android's gonna, come up to Zoltan and Otis and be like, "Is there anything that you would like to accomplish before we leave here? Because if not, I'm gonna hop on Solar and yip.
Accomplish here? No, but I do need to talk to you.
Okay.
What's the deal with the rings?
What do you want to know specifically?
Well, for one, when I tried to contact you, someone named Jot answered.
Oh, right. That's a new feature. They're not just. I guess it's not just as simple as you talk into it and you hear on the other end. There are more functions to it than what we realized. And one day she kind of just announced herself to us, and I don't know exactly how it works, but I had dot 3, you Quill had another dot, you had another dot, and then there was some drama because other people also have rings that are undesirable, and just recently Solar gave me a new ring that I guess is from Coralon the Rethian that kind of hides our channel. He kind of thinks about the way he's describing it,
Solar,
Like, I don't-
Solar pipes in real quick and says, I never said it was from Coralon.
Android kind of says, okay, I don't know that it's from Coralon, but
Okay.
it sounds like Coralon's voice.
If I needed to access this Coralon voice feature, how do I need to do this?
Solar says you
Um,
can't. He says you can't. Only Android has the divine line. Is the only secure line. He goes,
okay.
I would have to take it where I took it before and have somebody mess with it as well and fix it.
Okay.
Could he potentially ask Dot to connect him to the divine line? Or is it just, Dot give me Android and it works regular for him unless I am the one that initiates?
He goes, I don't know. You're allowed to play as much D&D as you like. No, he says, I don't know. He says, I really don't know.
Otis is gonna pull up his ring. He's like, "Hey, Dot."
Doo-doo-doo. Hello, Otis.
Cool. Access divine line.
She says, all right. Zzz, zzz, doo-doo-doo. Hello, Otis. How have you been?
Oh my goodness.
Says, you've been on a lot. You've done a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Says, are you well now?
As well as I could be, I guess.
He goes, I'm glad. Don't worry. I always believed in you, and I know that you can overcome this as well.
Cool, thanks. Anyway, I just needed to test this out. Bye!
Says, oh, okay. Zoodoo. Dot.
So the answer to that,
Dot.
Android, is yes.
Dot pops up again and she says, will that be all for you, Otis?
Yeah.
Notice before you hang up the ring, you hear a voice just chime in. Trying to speak through a secure line is only going to work for so long.
And go suck a dick.
I will find you. I will find all of you. You have what I need. And I will
For
get
your
it
sake,
back.
I hope you don't.
He says, oh. He goes, unlike you, I have grown in power. I haven't been lying dormant somewhere because I write checks that my ass can't cash.
Oh, good for you. Do you want a cookie?
Woo, woo. She goes, Dot's like, well, that was strange. The
Yeah,
master, the master ring chimed in on that.
Hey, Dot.
Yes, Otis.
Block Master Ring.
Just-
She's like, error. I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me, I burped again. I'm sorry, Otis. I'm afraid I can't.
Damn. Okay, let's try.
She says, I'm sorry. She says, don't let that hurt our friendship. Doo-doo-doo. And
Okay.
she cuts out.
So I'm gonna look at it and be like, what are those?
Things.
a loose cannon.
What are those?
Anyway, Android, to answer your question, yes, I can.
Excellent. That's
Also,
good to know.
Mystery Man contacted again.
That's unfortunate.
Very much so.
Oh, you recognize his voice, Otis. You know who that is, without a shadow of a doubt. You know who that is. Oh, okay. Just making sure. I didn't know if you knew that you knew or not. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Y'all continue role playing. I'll shut up.
Yeah, shut your fucking mouth.
I'm so sorry.
Let me play as much D as I want, damn it.
Anyway, he's making more threats.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty expected, I think.
Yeah. He decided to start gloating, asked him if he wanted a cookie, and he hung up.
Very good.
So Lars like, I could go for a cookie right now. I haven't eaten in
Me
forever.
too.
What about you?
You know what,
guys?
Solar? I could too. I got you. Let's go get a cookie.
He goes, all right, let's go eat then.
Huh?
He's like, we haven't eaten in a while, and pretty soon it's going to start having adverse effects on you, Zoltan. Besides, we can talk on the way there, and he flies over to your shoulder and lands on it. He goes, you wanted to talk? We can talk on the way to get some food. And
Oh,
then he,
okay.
like, flaps out a wing and hits you on the back of the head, and he goes, march!
Nice.
I don't know how to feel about this, but okay.
So on the walk there, Zoltan, what do you say to Solar? Oh, what were you going to say something, Otis? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, Otis did have one more question.
What was that?
Android.
Okay, go ahead.
What is going on with the weather? I've seen the way you kind of, you know.
Okay, we're going to
Going
say
on with the what?
Care to fill me in?
we're going to
with
say that you
weather?
guys are having this conversation while walking as well. Just so you all know. Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
You said with the weather?
Yeah.
Okay, well let's keep our voices down about this one, but we had an expedition to, he thinks, Mechluticon? Is that how you say it? Mechluticon, something like that.
Sure, however you
And
want to pronounce it. You're close
we
enough.
we while we were there, we had this task, and we came up into this temple, and we found the I guess the avatar host for the element of water, and she introduced herself as the water weird, and she said that she was trapped, and we thought we were doing a good thing by untrapping her, and she kind of tricked us, because what she was doing was killing herself so that she could reset the elements, and now we have to go and assemble the water weirds for each element and
Avengers!
bring them to Mount Doom and drop them in, and it'll be fine. But that is of course having adverse effects on the weather, because the elements are unstable, and with each one that we acquire, that also has further adverse effects on the environment. So haste is of the utmost importance with this one. It's kind of why we're here in Pengshun in the first place. We just kind of got wrapped up in some stuff that Yu Kuo was inadvertently involved in. We were just right place, right timed, I guess.
I see. And how many of these things do we have to acquire, and how many have been acquired?
I believe we need 4. Let me check my notes, but we have 2 for sure. We have the water weird, and we have the stone weird. Weird elements are linked to the primes. The water weird is in Mitch Luticon. There's the weird of fire, weird of terra, weird of wind. Weird wind, collect their hearts. Brokheim, Pangshun. Yeah. So after we leave Pangshun and get Fang Titan's wind element, we're gonna go to Brokheim to get the weird of fire. I believe, if my notes are correct.
Okay.
Android just shoves pieces of paper, slips scraps of paper back into his fucking bag of holding.
So what I'm understanding is that y'all fucked up,
Oh, big time, big time.
and it wasn't my fault.
Not
No.
this time. You can be happy this time. It's not.
Oh,
your
I'm
fault.
going to celebrate it. I'm never going to let you live it down.
I blame Zoltan on this one.
I'll be blaming
Oh.
Zoltan.
Whoa! First
Now
and
we blame
foremost,
Zoltan? I need to know why we blame
First-
Zoltan.
first and foremost, y'all let me convince y'all somehow.
Dude, lower your voice.
Oh, my fault, my fault. Y'all let me convince y'all on to go there. That's y'all's fault.
Yes, and it's a mistake we'll never make again. Rest assured. Well,
And I'm doing what now?
thank you for reminding me to never allow you to convince me of anything ever again.
You're welcome. Don't trust me. I see something shiny. We might explore it.
Wait, so it is your fault.
No. It's like a 50-50 deal.
Not,
I didn't
it's
kill
not
it.
totally.
Did you grab the shiny thing?
I did not. That was
did.
Android that did it.
So
he
it turns
convinced
things back
me.
to Android. So it's your fault.
They convinced me. It's okay. So we'll fix it.
So
Rob's cause and it wasn't me.
oh, Otis, if you had been there, it totally would have been you.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it one bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
point
you
that
would've been
out.
up in there alone.
If it makes you
think
feel, if it makes you feel any better, well, no, that's too much table talk right now. Never mind.
Not really even Zoltan's fault. Android's just being a dick.
Yeah.
You could have just told Otis it was all Zoltan's fault. He would just have believed you. I mean, he's known you longer than Zoltan.
So as you guys are walking, like Zoltan's having this argument with everybody, and Solar's just kind of sitting there on your shoulder, like looking at you, Zoltan, like this kid got ADD or what? Like he wants to talk to me, but he's more worried about this conversation than even asking me any questions. But he has the thought, but he doesn't say anything. He just remains silent, right in your shoulder. He's like, "Oh, the restaurant's almost here. If we get there, I'm gonna eat. I will be closed for business."
I'm gonna look at Solar and ask him if he knew my father.
He looks at you and he goes, "Did I know your father?" He goes,
Yes.
"No, I didn't know your father." He goes, not really. I mean, he's like, I knew the story just like everybody else, just like the one the lady told you. Chanticleer was this dashing rogue who stole the time frame from Alexander, and apparently it landed with you somehow.
Alexander. That's the person that Cobb talked about.
He says, "Well, I'm sure he did." It's like he's like he motions over at Android, who's still just having a conversation with Otis, and he goes, "I think both of them have met Alexander at least once. They've been to the Eternal Clockworks. You've been to Mechanus. You know what the Eternal Clockworks are."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, yeah, where else would you think the time frame would be hanging out? I mean, though the legend of Chanticleer may be a little bit troll dung, there is some kernel of truth in it. Your father had to have been an exceptional thief to be able to take the time frame out from under the nose of Alexander. Of all beings, Alexander. He goes, I don't know if you've probably never met Alexander before, but trust me when I say this. You think you know gods, but you don't know gods. True gods don't make their presence known. True gods are gods because they're gods. Not because somebody worships them. Not because they have all these stories written about them and things of that nature. Oh no. A true god just is. You can word it however you like. They're right because they're powerful, or they're powerful because they're right. Alexander belongs in a class all his own. And your father stole from him. So, there's that. Is that all you needed to know?
Not necessarily. What all can you tell me about the time frame that that's not against what you're able to tell me?
It shouldn't be in your possession.
Oh.
I'm sorry, that's me laughing as a DM. I knew that response was gonna be. Sorry. Anyways, he just looks at you like dead ass and he says, it shouldn't be in your possession.
Then how come the time I was in Mechanist, the Alexander person you speak of didn't try to come visit me for it?
He looks confused by this question. He kind of like, you just asked him a question that he's like, huh.
If you do say that, then wouldn't this Alexander person come visit me for it back?
Huh. Says, I don't know. He says, it certainly would make sense, wouldn't it?
It would.
Says, that's not right. He should have come and asked for it back.
Unless, do you think there's a possibility that he let my father take it?
Huh. Because that's not right. He looks over his shoulder at you, Android, and he says, I need at least, he goes, eat and stay the night. I need a little bit.
Oh.
Okay.
He says, I have some questions. And with that, he like flaps off your shoulder, Zoltan, and you watch as this light beam covers him and he just vanishes into the sky.
Huh, that question really did stun him. My fault.
That's how you know you asked the right questions, Zoltan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, asking the real questions.
I'm gonna look at Android and Otis and be like, so can y'all explain furthermore on who this Alexander person is?
Who?
Alexander? Yeah.
So,
Otis, I remember.
I was gonna say, Otis, you may not remember him because your memory is still kind of fuzzy from a lot of things anyway. So, it would make sense for you to be like, I don't know. You, Android, though, you would remember Alexander because you met him when he sent you back into the past to protect that man and that woman from being murdered.
Yeah,
Who
Yeah.
who ended up being your mom and dad.
my mom and dad.
Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah. So you remember him. So, he's the what you know of him, and I can just tell you what you would know of him. What to kind of refresh your memory. He's the guardian of the eternal clockworks. He's what they call a primordial, like a true god. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and I guess the way Android would explain it is just like I don't really have a whole lot of answers for you, but I did meet him. I know that he is an ineffably eternal being, and he sent me back in time so I could facilitate my own birth by making sure my mother and father did not die. So that's what I can tell you about that guy.
Huh.
That's a heck of an explanation.
That's one way of doing it. That's for sure.
That's all I know about him.
Huh. Okay.
He's like, what do you know? Oh, he just sent me back in time to save myself from people. Nothing big.
Just
Just kinda,
ordinary
you know.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Not
If
much.
you want
though.
any more answers beyond that, I ain't got them. That's literally all I know.
Okay. Just wondering. Because there was the time we went to Mechanis, and apparently the little thing that was embedded in my chest,
Uh-huh.
that was from there. And
Makes sense.
And Alexander was the owner of it.
Yeah, that checks out. And now that you mention it, I mean, I didn't necessarily put two and two together, but that makes sense. Now that you say it.
I don't like it now.
That thing's always freaked me out, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh.
He says, "Oh."
Okay.
My feelings are hurt.
He says, "Oh."
Sorry about that, I guess. So
Yeah, so I guess after that we if there are no other questions, you wanna fucking I guess do what Solar says. We
Let's
could
go
just eat and
Food's on
hunker
me.
down.
yeah, Solar said he wanted to eat, and yet he didn't come eat. What a bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got better food in Mount Celestia, honestly. Not that the food is bad here, just
That's not
Heaven.
from that.
You guys come walking up into the tea house, the place known as the tea house, and there's all sorts of people there, and they just all look at you all, and they're like, "Hey, the foreigners! Where's the chosen one?" No.
Battle.
indisposed with a woman.
They're like, "Oh,
My Spread my awesomeness without me.
You guys sit down and you get your orders and everything, and after a little while of more small talk, somebody brings you the food. It's hard ordering because you're not entirely sure what to get, but they bring you like a bowl of dumplings and some noodles and some chopped beef, and they just hand you plates without food on it, and then just bring these bowls full of food, and like beef, noodles, rice, dumplings, and they just set it all in front of you all, and they're like, "Your money is no good here." This dragoon woman, she's like, "Your money is no good here. We know that you are friends of the shogun, and the high shaman, so consider this on the house." And she walks off and just leaves you guys there to
Cool.
get your own food out of the you know? So you all dig in and you begin eating and, having lively conversation, laughing. We can even say that at one point in time, Android and Otis start telling stories of their past adventures, and Zoltan, you're listening to some of the things that they got into. Otis even, as you're telling the stories too, Otis, your memory is, coming back slowly. Android tells of the time you got so ticked at Hoborian, you jumped into a giant hole to go after him. And Android went in after you.
Crap,
and
what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why'd I do that?
It blew up. It was the damnedest shit I ever saw.
Yeah. And just the different things that you guys have done, and Zoltan, you get a better idea of who these guys are and the group that you are now a part of, this illustrious group that you have joined. They're called the Inglorious Few, but there's something oddly glorious about how well you actually fit into this dynamic, because no matter how much you guys do, and you guys do a lot, you guys find yourselves in a lot of drama. Somehow you guys always find a way out of that drama. And it just feels right, But as you're having this conversation, a male dragoon comes and walks over to your table and sits. You guys aren't sitting on chairs, you're sitting on benches. And depending on how you're sitting, I'm gonna say Otis and Zoltan, you guys are sitting on one side on one bench, and then Android, you're sitting on your own bench. And this person comes and sits down, this dragoon comes and sits down next to you, Android, and he looks at you guys. And Android and Zoltan, you instantly recognize him. He is a well-dressed dragoon.
Hmm.
Oh no.
He's a hold on, let me finish.
Hello, my good sir.
He is a well-dressed dragoon, wearing a silk shirt or a silk suit, and he's got a singular flower in his hand that he's just kind of twirling around. He's got these long horns. He's one of those green and
on the mouth.
He's one of those green and shadow scaled dragoons. And he just looks at you guys and he says,
He's come back for seconds.
He smells he smells the flower in his hand. He smells it, breathes it in deeply, this cherry blossom, and he's like, "You all enjoying your meal?"
Aren't you fancy looking?
Trying
I
to.
am sweating profusely.
When you say that to him, Otis, he just looks at you and kind of cocks a brow, kind of and says, "Indeed." Says, "You're not too shabby yourself."
Why, thank you.
Nah. I tell him don't entertain him. He's gonna kiss you and kill you.
You going what now?
Android is he bats for our team.
He just looks at you three and he says, "It is quite rude to speak of someone as if they're not here when they are, directly in front of you."
Aren't they just the worst?
He says, Listen. What happened be
Android pulls it out.
pulls what out?
You know.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
He did just look. I was gonna say he looks at you and laughs and says, "Please." No.
I'd be like, yeah, I know. I can't find it either, man.
Yeah.
I gotta look real close too.
He says, "Listen,
That's amazing.
what transpired between us originally, that was just business, nothing personal. I didn't come over here to cause any more trouble. In fact, I'm quite marveled at your resilience. not only did you manage to survive a conflict with me, and mind you, I am very good at taking on more than one, and still walking out the victor, if you know what I mean.
I bet.
Wait, did you guys fight him?
He says, indeed.
Oh.
And he goes, and who might you be? You weren't with
Oh,
them
I-
originally.
That's because I was in hell.
He says, oh, really? Which one?
I don't know.
Could it be Stygia? That's the one I went to.
He says, oh, I hope not. When he looks at you and he goes, oh, you were in Stygia?
Probably. I don't know. I wasn't really there mentally, just physically.
He says, I see. Well, quite the little enigma, aren't you?
You could say that.
Says, as far as you two are concerned, though, like I said, you survived an encounter with me, and then you turned around and made a deal with my boss, of all people. And trust me, my boss isn't the one who takes being made to look foolish very lightly. He
Can we not
goes,
talk about deals, please?
Gulp.
he says, well, normally he would have just came at you with everything he's got and taught you a lesson, but he saw some kind of value in you. And so you made a deal with him, didn't you? He looks at you, Zoltan, or at you, Otis, when you keep going, at the deal, and he goes, ah, now I see. In the nine hells, yes. Then,
I'm so traumatic.
He says, so you made an arrangement, did you?
We're not gonna talk about this. I mean, no disrespect intended, but I really, really don't want to discuss it.
He looks at you, Otis, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about the arrangement between them and my boss. And I guess by proxy, you now, since you have, he looks at you and he goes, what are you exactly?
I have felt that every day.
He goes, I'm aware that there are other kinds of drow that don't look like they, that are not subterranean, and I understand that he is half one of those, but I've never seen your kind before.
Yeah, he ain't an elf.
No elf here. I'm a
Says-
halfling.
Says, interesting. He goes, and they make armor for your kind. Fascinating.
Ain't it
know,
cute?
It's amazing, isn't it? Excuse you?
He's like a little baby in a suit of armor. No, I'm just kidding. He goes, it's
He's a
fascinating.
cleric. He's an intensive care bear. He'll beat the shit out of you.
He goes, I
Best
see.
description I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah. Yeah, Otis out of everybody is probably the angriest halfling I've ever I've ever been at a table with before in my entire life. I will point that out.
Ever had the pleasure?
Yeah, like I've never met a halfling with anger issues before. It is hilarious. But he goes, a fascinating homeland you come from, and he smells the cherry blossom some more, and he goes, he goes, well, you made a deal with my boss, so I'm sure
You
we'll
here on
see.
business, yeah.
He says, no, I'm not here on business. I was just eating. I do love the tea house. He says, and I happened to see you and thought I'd come over and say hi now that we're partners. He sets the blossom down on the table and he goes, you made an arrangement with Boss Kappa. It's not even fair. And he gets up from the bench and he says, I'll be seeing you eventually. Pats you on the arm, Android, and looks at you, Zoltan, and he goes, and you loved it. And then he walks away.
Otis is gonna turn to Zoltan like, what you look, huh?
Don't listen to that man.
Kissed him right on the mouth and it changed his
Oh,
life.
you got a keys?
I'm taking, damn it.
Yeah, how are you gonna explain this to Chew Me?
Yeah, I'm telling on
Oh
you.
my God.
You're taken.
I'm telling on
How are you
you.
gonna explain it to her?
So there is a bit of an ominous tone though in everything that Mr. Blossom said.
Absolutely.
The more you get to thinking about it, Android, at like while you're finishing up your food, the more you get to thinking about the fact that he seemed absolutely, he was like, the way he was talking about it, like Boss Kappa normally just tries to kill those who wrong him, but instead he made you a deal, and and there's just something icky about how funny Mr. Blossom finds that. And I leave you with those thoughts as we go back to Agargus and Uquill and their little plight.
What happened? They're in trouble. I'm perfect.
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. Agargus, you find yourself being held over the what Dodd called a dark maw, and it's like slowly bringing you down to its ringed mouth of teeth, getting ready to devour your little body. You can roll a strength or a escape artist to try and escape that and do your spore blast, like you said.
Oh, they don't want to play anymore.
Oh, we lost him. We lost him. Oh no.
Anyways, Zoltan asked us one good question of the month. Ah, they're back. What a lad.
I knew they would be. I knew they would come back.
That was just I accidentally hit the sleep button.
You're like, no!
I
No,
was passing
why?
the laptop over and I hit the sleep button and I was like, why?
Yeah, so Agargus, what do you want to do? You want to try and roll a strength? Do you want to try rolling an escape artist? Do you want to try something else to get out of this predicament you find yourself in?
Can he like wiggle his like little legs and like? Well, okay, hold on. I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, is there like, can he like move his like flesh pocket without his hands?
Yeah, you can reach into your pocket.
Okay, like, do you know what I mean? Like without using my hands though?
Can he pull things out of his pocket without moving his hands? Oh, you're asking if you can just expel things from your body without like reaching into it?
I mean, I suppose. I mean, since I'm not, my hands are covered. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
you can't. Your arms are more covered, like your body's covered, right? Like you
Right.
can't bring your hands up to be able to do like a spore blast, but your hands are like pinned to your sides. But I would say your hands are kind of free, if that makes any sense. It is an interesting question you ask me though. Like Underworld, right? When Lucian gets all shot up with bullets and then he stands there and just forces them out of his body. That's the image I'm getting that you're asking of me. Can you just force those things that you put in your body out of them without like using your hands to reach in? Is that what you're asking? Because we never really established that before. And you know what? Because I love the Underworld movie, I like the character Lucian and Kate Beckinsale, of course. So yeah, I'll allow it. Yeah, I mean, oh, don't even pretend like you don't like Kate Beckinsale. There ain't a man alive. Okay, anyways, I'm not getting into this right now. Yeah, I'll allow it.
You were trying.
I'll say that you can like expel things from your body. You can just kind of push them out if you want to.
Poopy.
Yeah.
Okay, can I like wiggle both of my potions, the paralyze and the sleep one, out of me and then into its like mouth?
Yeah. Sure. Interesting. let me look at something here like real fast. Let me oh my gosh.
Nah.
Nah. She says, nah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm an idiot.
Most days of the week.
You're so funny. Let me look at something real quick here. Equipment.
I don't feel funny. I feel great right now, for being honest.
Sitting there with cracked ribs because he tried to evil Knievel.
I made it!
That you did. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You did make it. I mean, it was neat. I had the neatest imagery in my head from all that.
You cool does wild shit, bro. Sometimes it's sketch, but it's all good.
Because my life is dope and I do dope shit.
Exactly.
Do. Equipment and spells. There we go.
How did you say? I am the badass?
I am not the danger, Skylar. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. Yeah.
Equals just the badass.
I am the one who knocks.
Ooh. Has anybody seen the one meme where they're talking and it says when your mom won't let you get on Call of Duty because of all the racism, and it's that scene and he goes, I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. It's so funny, dude. I was dying. I was like, that's dumb.
My youngest son.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I know what I gotta roll. All right, I'm just gonna roll to see if that's even gonna work. I gotta do 2 rolls. We will go with the sleep roll first.
I hope I don't fall.
Oh no! I hope this. Yeah. Oh, shut up, dude. Why are you taking my thunder right now? God, what a little jerk.
Don't be slow to him. That's all I gotta say.
This is how Zoltan dies.
You're right. I don't have my hourglass to save me anymore.
You robbed.
I was.
All right. Well, this is not an intelligent.
Okay.
This is not a very intelligent beast. So, yeah, you sit there and you push and you feel both of those potions just come falling out of your body, just boop boop, and you watch as they go falling down into the maw, to the darkness of this cavernous giant mouth. Think of the Sarlacc pit, only in water, as it were, you know? And you watch its whole maw start quivering. It's like... and its body stiffens up. And then just... you watch as it starts to slide it back into the water, and its limbs become, like, stiff. And the tentacles that are holding you, Agaragus, hold on. It stays wrapped around you because it's been paralyzed now. But you realize that now this giant beast is slowly sinking into this pool of water with you still wrapped inside its tentacles as it starts to, like, slowly disappear into the murky depths.
You're gonna get drowned by a hentai monster, but not in the way most do.
Sheesh.
Dot is just like, oh no! He looks over at Uquil and he's like, Uquil!
Uquil looks over and he's like, oh god!
He goes,
What is that?
He goes, kill. He's like, get Agaragus. I'll hold the rust monsters. And he jumps off of Yucca and goes running over by your side. He's like, "I'll hold him," and he does a spore blast. He just starts spore blasting in their direction.
Jesus fucking fuck me. Why?
You watch as the tentacle slides into the water holding Agargus, and Agargus just disappears into the water.
I go grab the fucking mushroom.
See you later.
Yeah, it's down in the water. You're gonna have to jump into the water and swim.
Nigga, I ain't gotta do shit besides sink. And that's what I'm good at because there is no swimming here.
Yeah, you just go running in the water, and Yucca's like, "Wait, you're heavy."
Counting on
Geronimo! Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You sink like a rock, and you're letting all that inertia just carry you in Agaragus's direction. And you see it. Like, as you're going into the water, you see this bulbous mound of nothing but tentacles. Like, some of them have eyes on the end of them, some of them are just for grabbing, some of them actually have teeth of their own. And it's just this bulbous, disgusting, fleshy-looking mound with a giant mouth that you realize actually extends out. It's like a mouth that, like, it puckers its lips, and when it puckers its lips, it to like make an O face, that mouth extends out like in a disgustingly looking stretching motion, and you watch as the mouth just stretches and slinks back onto the beast's head. And this thing is massive. Like, it's easily, and you just saw dragons recently, and this thing is easily the biggest thing you have ever seen in your entire life. Like, it is so large and so disgusting and oddly terrifying that I'm going to need you to roll me a sanity check. Because what you are looking at is something of nightmares. It is like an eldritch horror.
Consider later. You can eat a whole box of dicks.
So, you need to know how it works again? How the sanity checks and stuff work? Okay. That's okay. I made myself handouts so I wouldn't forget. So, there is that.
I'm already fucking scarred a little bit.
Okay, so what is your you have sanity? You have
I'm at 40.
Your sanity's 40, so I need you to roll a D100.
Yeah.
So you're gonna roll that twice, and what you're gonna do is you have to score lower than your sanity.
If I use my heroic points, that counts against me somehow.
Yeah.
Or do I subtract them?
In this case, well, let me look at something here real quick because okay. Quirks are deep-seated, must be resolved as magic is not an option. I want to make sure I did not write anything about heroic points in the actual description of how this works, right?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. So in this case, I will allow you to use heroic points to negate points.
Fuck, but I gotta call it beforehand.
But you gotta call it beforehand. Thank you for being an honest player. Thank you for smoking.
Yeah, I know. Mind you, I haven't received heroic points, and I've done some epic shit. I'm just throwing that out there. Just fucking throwing that out there. Where's my fucking dice at? I want it to be known.
Well, I want you to... I'll tell you what, okay? I'll tell you what, you big baby. You survive this, and I will give you heroic points. If you're able to pull this off without a hitch, I will give you heroic points. If your heavy, big old rear end can get in this water, get Agaragos out from being tangled, and save their life and get out of this pool of water without there being an issue, I will give you heroic points because what you're doing is...
because I'm taking all 25. I only have 25 left, and I'm burning them all.
Yeah.
It's one of those times where I'm like, nope. I usually let you whoop my ass. I've saved them bitches for a long time.
I am not. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one moment where you're like, this could be really bad if I do not pull this off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's 25 heroic points. Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh God. That's a 6.
Okay.
Please be a 0. Please be a 0 or lower.
Well, it would be 60 if 6 was the first roll you made.
Yeah. I did. Oh.
What'd you roll?
Baby. I'm about to roll the second one. Hold on. Yeah, it was the first one was a 6. So yeah, I'm already at 60. That's what I'm getting at. No,
Yeah,
one,
60 something.
one. 5.
65. Okay. Oh, you nailed it exactly. All right.
I'm shitting in my armor, but I'm holding on.
Yeah, I mean, your sanity is 40. You nailed 40 exactly.
Yeah.
That goes to you. That's victory for the player.
Fuck me.
That's a victory for the player. You nailed it exactly. You tanked. So let me explain this to you. You're floating down there. You see that. You realize you're like facing an eldritch horror. This reminds you of the crawling head. You remember the crawling head? What that almost did to you?
Yeah, that's the last time. Yeah.
Yeah. You feel that, and your whole body, like everything in your body, wants to just try and start scrambling back up out of the water. Like Garrick is gonna die. You know what I mean? Like no. And
so dead.
And it's like you said, you steel yourself, and you clench your jaw, and you're like, wait, I'm mother effing you, Quill. All right, chosen of the Dragoon, winner of the Jingzhou, lover of women, feared by men and beast alike, and I refuse to let this blob that looks like a nutsack with a mouth freaking, push me back. And you, boom, push back in there. And for said that, I will award you 15 heroic points.
I'll allow it. Fuck me, now I gotta get the fuck out of here somehow. Alright, fuck.
Yeah, so you get to Agaragis, and Agaragis, you're just floating down towards this thing that you have knocked completely out. I mean, you really millie-whopped this thing. Like, it's just, everything is just coming down to it, and you're watching as tentacle arm after tentacle arm just down to the water floor, just as this thing's big old eye is just shut. Its one singular eye is just closed.
I've got very little here. I'm gonna, I guess, try to chop its fucking tentacle off. I got nothing that fuck me.
Roll your damage.
I'm out of my element.
It does not have any. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to have you roll the damage for it. It has no defenses whatsoever. I'm going to say you go in there and you give it a good couple of swings, and you just cut that thing. You just slice right through that thing's arms, man. And the second you do, like the stiffness of the paralyzation, now that it's like free from the rest of the body, that arm just goes limp and releases Agaragis into the water. And Agaragis, you're just floating free now. And you, Quill, you are still sinking, though, because you are still quite heavy.
I turn towards the creature's direction and I try to force blast my way up and see if it works again. Propel myself sonically through water.
Sure. Sure. You force blast it right in its eye, and it does. It propels you backwards. So you come blasting up out of the water, and you realize, oh crap, I forgot Agaragis. I'm just kidding. Do you want to grab Agaragis on your way out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was gonna say on my way out, I'm either gonna grab it or fucking wrap my grapple around it. One of the two. It's coming with me.
Sure. You just go force.
I didn't just shit all in my armor for nothing. You got me fucked up.
Yeah. You go.
Cover mushroom, you're scrubbing this out.
Yeah. You go like blasting your way up out of that water, and as you're going by, you grab Agaragis. Agaragis, you feel you, Quill, just jerk you up, like just grab you by the back, I mean, because, like, I guess he grabs you by the arm and freaking just goes, flying back up out of the water, and you guys just go bursting up out of the pool of water, just, ah! You Quill's just yelling, ah! As you guys go flying up out and land on the ground. Why don't you both roll me a tumble?
Yes. 14.
14?
I splat.
You land flat on your back this time, just prone, like,
Ouch!
yeah.
This didn't help.
Doing,
Look at that.
doing 4 points of subdual damage.
Yet again, I'm whooping my own ass.
Yeah. You're like,
No, nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
nobody. Still waiting on that roll, Agaricus.
I did. I sent it.
Oh, I see it. I see it. My bad, dude. I'm sorry.
Ah, open your eyes.
Yeah, God. Yeah, Agaricus, you go landing on your butt as well. Just you're just like, you feel all the air push out of your body, and that does 3 points of subdual damage to you. You got like a bruised tailbone, just and you both are just spitting up water. When you finally get to your feet and look at the scene, there were 5 rust monsters. Between Yucca and Dodd, 3 of them are dead. There's only 2 of them left, and they were the 2 that were closest to the fire, and now they're slinking their way in your guys' direction. Dodd stops and sees that you guys have come out of the water. He hears the whole thing, and he's like, "Oh, good. You guys are alive." He goes, "That's good, because, and he points across the pool, and you look, you are in a cavernous area, and the rock walls have deep pockets in them, it's kind of an illusion, as it were, because you realize that some of those crevices in the rock that should just be a part of the wall aren't wall at all, that they're actual, like, cracks in the wall big enough for things to come through. And you watch as these crustacean-looking beasts, green beasts, who are quite large, with big old freaking claws, like crab claws, and tentacles, blood red tentacles coming out of their mouths. And they're, like I said, they're crustaceans, so they look like giant prawn, if you will, are crawling, like, groups of them are beginning to come out of these cracks. And Dodd points in that direction and goes, "Good, because we have to run, I think. I think we're getting piled on now."
Yeah, time to go.
He says, "I don't see us winning this fight if we don't get going. I'm so sorry, you Quill. I know that you fancy yourself a mighty warrior, but I don't think we're gonna make it."
It's like, yep, good idea. Can't breathe. Run.
He goes, "Oh, good." And he's like, "Let's kill these last 2 because they're actually in the way of where we need to go."
Fair enough.
With that, like, you're getting to your feet and everything, and so Agaricus and you Quill, how do you guys want to move? You tell me.
I walk over. How close are the 2 left together?
They're practically right side by side. They're probably, let's see. They're probably 30, 20, 25, 30 feet away from Yucca and Dodd. And probably, let's see, 30. You would be about 50 feet away from them, so 50 add, see, I said 30, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, so add 6 to 50, and that is 50, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, about 80 feet away from you. Sorry, that was some math I had to do. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard math. What it was just telling myself, no, you're counting in fives, not like 61, 62, 63. You know what I'm saying? And so it was throwing me off a little bit. I had to like recount. I had to recount.
Equal's gonna walk over. Not like directly in front of Yucca and Dodd, but like, you know, almost in a flanking off to the left, right out in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
About 15 feet away from the last two.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna set them ablaze.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, wait for the blaze. Agargus, what is your move gonna be like?
Can I like use my trotters and make it over and like jump on Dodd?
Sure. Well, Dodd is he's only 5 feet. He's only 5 foot tall. He's kind of small for you to be climbing on. Honestly, you could use your trotters to climb on Yucca.
Okay.
Yeah, Yucca's large. He is a large beast. He's like the size of a freaking grizzly bear. Like, he's huge.
Okay. Yeah, I want to do that and then use my defender ability on Yuko.
Cool. All right, so you just watch as Yuko goes up there and flanks to the left and begins to pull back some fire, and Agargus, you go running up, and it's just like, it's like you got twinkle toes, man. You're just whoop, 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 right up onto Yucca, and Yucca's kind of like, what the? And he looks and goes, you're quite nimble, aren't you?
He just like nods.
Yeah. You just nod as you activate the buckler, and you see Agaragus's buckler like glow, which on Agaragus it's almost like a full-grown shield, you know what I mean? As it glows, and then you watch as the shell forms over your body for a minute, just whoom, and then vanishes.
Fair enough.
All right. They themselves move towards you guys, actually. Let's do this right. Let's see how this is going to work out. Let me see if they move at all. No, they sure don't. They're not going to move or attack. Okay, die. Anyways. All right, so, yeah, this is a freebie. For everybody who wants it. So you, Quill, go ahead and roll your fire damage. Oh, let me roll for the other things too. They're not close enough to get to you guys yet, but just curious. Oh. Okay.
20 points of damage. Fire.
20 points of fire damage. All right, so you breathe fire on them, just... And, yeah, you said 20?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and that's down for 3 rounds.
okay. All right. That doesn't take them down, but You notice too that their bodies are kind of armored, so some of that fire is mitigated on them. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't quite take them down, but you do notice that even though their bodies are armored, you are heating up essentially armor, so they are taking damage. You know what I'm saying? But they're still, so let's just say that they're still coming towards you in a sense. You know what I mean? That hasn't quite halted them yet. And Agargus, you just activated the buckler, but you can still attack.
Okay, am I like close enough to do the spore?
Oh yeah.
Okay, definitely then.
All right. So you can do it on just one of them. There's the left one and the right one. Which one?
Left.
Okay. Blast away. Roll the necessary things. Roll an attack, roll a ranged attack, and then roll the damage if you hit, which you probably will. I don't want to be a defeatist or anything, but it's not hard to hit something in a ranged touch. I don't know why I wasn't looking at the screen. 33. Let me just double check on something here. I'm sure you did. I can't imagine that they have a higher AC than in any as all of that. But just to be on the safe side. Oh yeah, you straight up smack him. Roll your damage. Holy crap. Okay. That kills the one on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agargus, feel free to describe to me. You got that kill. Describe to me how it goes. That kill.
It's almost like as he shoots the spore, it like invades. It's like the enemy's lungs. You know what I mean? And it almost like just like evades all their like oxygen.
Oh, you suffocate him with snot?
Yeah.
Ugh. So you blast that thing. You just boom, and you watch as it's going through all this fire, and then all of a sudden it just gets hit by all of that, like the spore damage that are like 1,000 fists raining down on it, but some of them go into its mouth and it actually inhales it or swallows it, as it were, because it is very tangible. And it's like, and you watch as all of a sudden its eyes just pop out of its head and all this mucousy looking spore snot just comes pouring out of its mouth as it's suffocating on it, and it's just looking around blind, and you can tell that it just cannot breathe, and it just falls over on its side, just as crap, as caca just pours out of its mouth. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you guys got the freebie on that one, so we get another roll, another move round.
I was gonna have Yucca fucking go after the other one.
Oh, okay, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have him fucking like vomit acid on the one on the right.
Okay.
3d8 of acid damage. So here we go. 16.
16?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I think I will stick with that. that ruling on that. 16. So all right, so Yucca just vomits acid on it. He's just like, bleh, and a string of acid just comes out of his mouth and just bleh, slaps on this thing, and you hear it thistle just, and the thing's like, and it kind of slows down its pace a little bit, but it does not drop it. It is not as resistant to this as it is fire. It's eating through its armored shell, but it did not take it down just quite yet. Dodd's kind of breathing for a minute, and he goes, I can hit that thing. He's like, are you healthy? Are you okay? Do you need any assistance?
I'm good. Just a couple bumps.
He goes, I saw you hit the ground earlier when you came jumping off there like a wild man. I just was making sure you didn't need any. Okay. And he freaking goes for his attack. He's gonna Spore Blast as well. Only he's doing something that one of his kind can actually do, and that is determine whether or not his Spore Blast is lethal or not. Yeah, so he hits. Doing enough to kill it. So he hauls back and Spore Blasts as well. His spores don't look like Agaragus's, where Agaragus looks like they kind of sneeze and the spores come out of them. His spores look like they look like little bubbles or extra fungus or something crawling up his arms. It's kind of mucusy. It's really unnerving to actually look at. It like his arms bubble and it just looks like slime is slowly climbing to his hands, the palm of his hands, as he rears back both his hands and then brings them out, palm out, in front of him, and this mucusy spore like soup just comes blasting out and just boom hits that freaking rust monster and completely takes its head right off its body. It just knocks it right off. And he just... disgusting, Matt.
Yes.
He's like, well, and he looks behind him, and he goes, shall we go, or... yeah, he looks behind him at the things that are crawling in your guys' direction. He's like, we should probably go, or those, Cthulhu are gonna kill us.
I guess so. Sounds good to me.
He's like, all right then, onward and upward, I always say.
Yeah.
Better out than in, I always.
Yuko was just like, yeah, I don't. Never heard of good things of the underworld, and it's living up to its reputation.
He says, well, let's just hope that this is the worst you have to see.
Yuko sighs, he's like, thinking about the hole, and he's like, I don't think I'll see anything worse than that today.
He goes, oh, I wish you hadn't said that. He's like, he's doing his best to run alongside of you, even with his like short little legs. He's actually like, you would say he's like maybe just like a pace behind you. You know what I mean? And he's like doing a pretty good job at keeping up. And he's looking at you and he's like, even though you can't tell he's looking at you really. And he says, you actually just saved Agaragus from a dark maw.
Don't remind me.
He goes, no, that was mighty brave of you. He's like, you watch as he like puts his staff on his back and his skin forms up over the staff as like a makeshift holder for it. It's like, he's like, that was amazing though. He goes, I can see why Agaragis calls you friend.
He says, see?
Yuko just sighs. He's like, he wants to feel good about it, but he's like, that was one of maybe the second worst thing I've ever laid eyes on.
He's like, oh, well, like I said, there's far worse down here. I wish you hadn't said that you can't find much worse because, oh boy. He goes, I'll tell you this right now. If we come across a crystal wall, let's just avoid it at all costs.
Whatever you say, Chief. He's just shaking his head like, nah, fam, I don't think you understand. I'm not liking this.
He's like, oh, we'll be all right. We'll be just fine. I promise you. We have no troubles now. This is a straight shot. This cavern seems pretty secure. I don't feel the buzzing at all. No humming. I think we're good. We're great. And then he like stops and like, because you can't really see you, Quill, he's got to actually pull out his hand and stop you because of his height. It's like right on your pecker. He's like, I mean, just pats you right on the freaking mommy daddy button. And he's like, stop. Yeah. Then he looks and realizes and he's like, oh, sorry. He's like, oh no. And he steps forward and Agaragis, you see what he's got a problem with, and Yucca sees what he's got a problem with because all three of them can see in the dark. Agaragis, what you see that has disturbed Dodd so greatly is you see a giant cavern. Like you guys almost just ran off a cliff. And down in that cavern is Hell's Half Acre, really. I mean, it is just a land full of stalagmites just sticking up out of the ground and stalactites coming out of the ceiling all over the place. And it just looks like one of those pictures, right? The way the cavern looks, it looks like one of those pictures where it goes on and on and on forever. It's like looking at a mirror inside of a mirror where it's just got no end to it. It gives off that illusion. And in the center of all of that, you see the thing of legend. You know, Agaragis, you know enough underworld lore that there's no mistaking this, what you see in the center of this very dark and ominous place. And that is a black tower. It sits there in a cylinder, but it's cylindrical in shape, but it's carved in such a way that it's got like a spiral to it. You know what I'm saying? Like think of a croissant, right? When you take a croissant, when you stop, I could have dropped my croissant. Okay, think of a croissant like when you take a croissant apart and you spiral it, right? That's what that kind of looks like. Like, it's not just one solid structure. It's carved in such a way that there's a spiral in it as it stretches up high. And not as high as the ceiling of this place, because the ceiling of this place stretches up so high that you can't actually see the very top of it. So you know that the stalactites coming out of the tops of it have to be these large shard-like pieces of stone, because you can see the tips of them, but you cannot see where they actually stick. And even at this distance, you can tell that tower is tall, and you know this is the fabled Black Hand Tower. It has to be. The legends were true. To give you some background on this, or the Black Cloak Tower is what it actually is called. And to give you some background on this legend, supposedly somewhere in the in-between of the underworld, there is a tower that sits in a highly dangerous place called the Black Cloak Tower, home to the to the fabled what would he call him? Mage. Oh, what kind of mage is he called? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember what that kind of mage is called. Let me Google it. No. I could tell you in a minute. He's not just a mage. He is a archmage. Can't believe I couldn't remember what that was called. The fabled archmage, Alistair Blackcloak. And he is the stuff of legends, but he's also the stuff of nightmares. He's quite insane, but quite powerful. He's known for being able to like bend reality to his will. At least that's what the legends say. And he's known for killing Drow and Desmodoo. Any Lithids even stay out of his way. Your average beholder, not the Eye Tyrants, but the average beholder. The Eye Tyrants being a sect of beholders who are known for being particularly powerful beholders, not just some wandering beholder that's about mid-level as far as beholders go. But he's known for being able to handle beholders, Illithids, Drow, Desmodoo, Quorifons. Legend has it that even a few Mycotid have maybe ran into him before, henceforth why you know his legend as well. I mean, he is bad news, and you guys have ran smack dab into his domain with Cthulhu chasing you at your backs.
Nice.
Yeah, and Dodd, he just kind of waves in your direction, Agaricus, without taking his eyes off of it, and he says, Agaricus, you see what I see, correct?
Says yes.
Because that is the Black Cloak Tower.
Indeed.
Says, I was hoping that it was just a myth. And Quill, he turns to face you, and there is no doubt in your mind that he's looking right at you, and he says, you had to say that you weren't going to see anything worse, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was it... You guys can hear... Pretty soon you can hear the, like, clacking of the feet of the Cthulhu as they're getting closer. It sounds like somebody taking an ice pick and hitting like a stone floor. It's as they're coming in, your guys. They're still a ways off because they're not particularly fast creatures. And Dodd just looks and he says, Cthulhu at our back and Alistair Blackcloak at our fronts.
Equal just chuckles and he's like, yeah, sounds appropriate. Don't know who that guy is, but from your expression, it's not fun. They don't look fun.
Says he is quite mad. Legend has it that he created the underworld. That it was actually him.
I find that hard to believe, but I can see where that comes from.
He says, well, let's not find out. We have no choice but to go forward. We're going to need to get down off this ledge and go down into those lands, but we need to be as quiet as possible when we do.
Equal size, he's like,
he says, well,
Agaricus nods.
he nods at you, Agargus, and then looks at you, Quill, and says, "Well, try." Yucca says,
Never said I wouldn't.
Yucca's like, "I can be really quiet when I need to be." And then
Equal just scowls.
yeah, he
Thank you.
after saying that, he farts. He goes, "Okay, now I'm gonna be quiet."
I will leave you to them.
He says, "I don't fear them." He's like, "I'm just running because you guys are running." He goes, "They don't know about me around here. You know what I once was, Agargus? I was once a mighty dragon," he says as he starts climbing down like the legend of itself isn't actually like a straight drop. It is declined enough that you guys can actually just kind of slowly crawl down it. And Dodd says, "Luckily, once we get down in there, those Cthulhu won't follow us." He goes, that'll confirm it. If they continue following us, then that's not Black Cloak Tower. Because even they aren't gonna brave coming into his domain. They're not as stupid as we are. He says as he sits down on his butt and just begins sliding down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Quill? How does he approach that?
What about
I'm not gonna make you roll a climb because there is it's declined enough, but I'm just curious as to how he wants to try and make his way down the hill.
Yeah, Equal just looks at it and he's like, "Oh. Alright." Yeah, Equal strolls as quietly as he possibly can, which is not very quiet.
He just strolls down the hill.
Yeah, because I mean, if he tries to skid down it, he's just gonna make more ragged, pinging off everything.
All right, that I'm gonna make you roll a balance for. That I will make you roll a balance for.
I wish my keyboard wasn't in the way.
Wish my keyboard wasn't being a keyboard.
It stopped it from rolling over to the next number, which would have been better. 11.
What did you roll?
11.
11. So I know you guys probably. Well, I know none of you are as old as I am, but I know that you guys probably haven't watched as much old TV as I have. But there's this old television show called Columbo. And it's about this detective, this real unassuming detective. Like, he comes across as he's absent-minded and stupid. And in a lot of ways, he is absent-minded, but he's not stupid by any stretch of the imagination. They don't try to make him seem like sophisticated and know-it-all like they do with Sherlock Holmes on a lot of shows. And even though Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes, I'm going to go on a rant real quick, isn't so sophisticated, he's still kind of a know-it-all. And they're completely dropping the plot with Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is not a know-it-all. But regardless of all that, Columbo, on one episode of Columbo, there is a famous episode where he's doing the exact same thing you're doing, and he starts kind of declining, strolling down this hill, but he kind of loses his footing and just begins to pick up speed, and then just completely ass over tea kettle tumbles down the rest of the hill. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just look up that one scene. Columbo tumbles off down the hill, because I guarantee you'll find something of it on YouTube. I promise you will. And that is what you'll see there is kind of like what you saw with what you Quill does, and it's hilarious. And he just tumbled down this hill, you Quill, and just kind of land next to Dodd. And Dodd's like, "Oh, good grief, are you okay?"
I'm fine. Equal just fucking sprawls out and he's like, "Yep, that's about right."
Yeah. You feel your ribs crack a little bit more, and it does 6 points of subdual damage. You're just like, oh. You grab your ribs, and Dodd notices it, and he goes, I thought you said you were okay.
I'm fine.
He says, oh no, you're not. He goes, it won't do you any good. He goes, look, I understand that you're good at taking on beasts and things like that, but just traversing the underworld can cause you a lot of damage. It's almost like, he says to you, it's almost like your DM will just F you up in just skill checks. Now,
You can't touch me any other way.
oh, don't test me, buddy.
Test you all day.
No, but he says, he goes, just traversing the underworld can cause you serious damage.
I'm vastly aware.
He goes, Agaragis and I, we're Pion Menders. We're actually skilled in the arts of alchemy and healing and other effects. Has Agaragis never shown you all of their abilities?
He just looks at him like, motherfucker, what you think?
He looks over at Agaragis and kind of whispers. He's like, Agaragis!
Yeah.
He goes, your comrade here needs medical assistance. He goes, you are a Pion Mender. You are capable of curing all manner of issues. He goes, how come he did not know this about you?
Yeah, I do not require it.
He just looks at you, Quill. He's like, shh. He goes, what's that, Agaragis?
Agaragis was gonna say, I didn't know I could.
He goes, of course you can. He goes, you can heal, you can remove poison, you can, you can cure curses. You can help the hungry if they need it, or refresh them if they're tired. Because you can do all of those things. You can remove mind dealing effects. He like stands up and he goes, he kind of rubs off his, brushes the dust off himself, and he goes, oh my goodness. They just sent you out here like a babe amongst wolves, didn't they?
Okay, just looks at him blankly.
He waddles over to you and he's like, okay. We got a lot of work to do here. We got to work on keeping him, and he pats Yucca, him alive. Yucca's like, oh, thank you. At the pat. He's like, if you're in the mood, you can scratch my rump. I can't ever get to it, and it itches. And Dodd's just like, shh. He's like, we got to work on keeping them alive and teaching you everything you can do.
He says, okie dokie.
Says, but we'll have to do it when we're as far away from the freaking Black Cloak Tower as we possibly can. He's like, I know this for a fact. And he points up at the ledge, because you see all the Cthulhu staring down at you all, but they're also looking at the tower. And slowly they just turn away and go walking back where they came from. He says, yep, that's definitely Black Cloak Tower then. You all can just see the top of the tower now. You can't see the base of it anymore, because the stalagmites coming out of the ground are taller than you, Quill. You know what I mean? You being the tallest one. And they're kind of tightly formed together. So it's tough traversing for Yucca as well.
Yeah.
And Dodd just looks at you, Quill, and he says, come on, let's see if we can at least bandage those ribs. He's like, because it's just going to do you more damage trying to get through key points at the area. this trying to squeeze broken ribs in between each one of these dang old things. He's like, Agaragis, come down here and I'll show you how to do this.
He just follows.
Yeah, because like, I want to watch. And again, Dodd's like, shh. And he looks at you, Quill, and he goes, all right, strip down.
People just eyes him.
He's like, oh, don't worry about it. You ain't got nothing that. Well, I mean, let me point it out to you like this, all right? You've got equipment that neither Agaragis nor I even have, and neither one of us are going to be fazed by it. If the most embarrassing thing that ever happens to you in life is that we see your manhood, you've made out really well. Okay? So, come on.
Says, oh, there's no embarrassment about it. That tree trunk is perfectly fine. You want me to strip down out here?
He goes, let me tell you, right now, we're probably as safe as we possibly could be. Because if Hallister had noticed our presence, he would have already addressed it. And nothing is going to come down in here and act like it owns the place. Nothing would ever dare try to take away. It'd be like a cat trying to take away a mouse from a beast. You know what I mean?
Something like that. Equal just sighs and sucks the fool's armor off.
So you Quill, like, yeah, you just get butt naked, and you see as you take the armor off, you know what I mean? Yeah, your ribs are jacked up, dude. Like, you can actually see the bone kind of protruding and everything. And Dodd looks at it and he's like, oh my goodness. It's like, that was gonna poke through your skin eventually.
Well, just shrugs. He's like, meh.
He's like, yeah, well, I mean, I don't have ribs, so I don't really... He goes, but I do have knowledge of it. And he looks at you, Agaragis, and he says, come over here and I'll show you how to heal. Something like this. Right? And... yeah. He does a... you watch as he explains to you, you have what is called a spore pool, or a certain amount of spores inside your body that you are capable of manipulating to do certain effects. Some of these spores can do things like remove diseases. Some of them can remove mind-affecting things like illusions and things like that. Some of them can remove some that will remove illusions, some will remove mind-affecting things like paralysis or sleep. Some of them will cure, you know, curses of a sort, if somebody's cursed. Some of these, there are certain curses and diseases and things of that nature that we cannot cure because they come from realms that are beyond us. But most of them, yeah. He goes, well, he goes, let's start off small. All right, let's do the curing. Let's take care of the cure spore, and we will I will show you how to do that. Or the healing is what it really is. It's a healing spore. He goes, you can also manipulate these things in the clouds and do this to multiple targets within a certain amount of distance around you. So keep that in mind as well. With that, you watch as these spores begin to flutter out of his body and kind of blink and glow like fireflies. You know, most of what Dot has done has been kind of gross, you know, the spore blast and everything, but this doesn't look gross at all. In fact, it looks like it's actually kind of pretty, all things considered. as this like wave of glowing firefly looking spores just start coming out of the plumage that is his head and kind of floating around, and then they gather back up around his body and then go into his hands, and he begins to apply them to your busted ribs, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna bother to roll this. I'm just gonna say it repairs your ribs, and it removes all the subdual damage, and you're not feeling as busted up anymore. He says this can be used to heal superficial and serious wounds. This wasn't killing him per se, but it could quite have possibly knocked him out. And using these spores like this agaricus, you can even reinvigorate those who are on the verge of just getting completely knocked out. He was on the verge of eventually passing out from all the pain and damage he was taking. He looks at you, Quill, and looks you up and down, and he says, he is a sturdy specimen. So, I mean, he probably still had a long ways to go, but who knows how much further we have to go down here. He could have eventually hit his head in such a way that he was just going to get knocked out. And getting knocked out down here is not a good thing. You can't even be sure where you're going to fall. Do you understand? And he asks that while he's looking at you, Agaricus. He's not actually talking to you, Quill, now. In a weird sort of way, he's talking about you, Quill, as if you, Quill, isn't even there. Like, get the idea that you're in medical school training, and it's like you're looking over a cadaver as they explain the anatomy, as your professor explains anatomy. Did Agaricus check out again?
No, the push to talk is just being wonky.
Oh.
She's like, why isn't it working?
Oh,
Poke it right.
Okay, so he's like, do you understand what I'm saying?
He says, yeah, and like nods his head, and it kind of like excitement.
Says you have all these different kinds of spores. You know, you're capable of healing a multitude of sins, as it were. Anything from curses to paralysis to illness and disease, and even physical bodily damage. He goes, but mind you, it all comes from what is called a spore pool, as we call it. You only have a certain amount of spores that you can manipulate to do these certain things, and once they're gone, you need to at least rest for a good, I believe it's 24 hours. I could be wrong, but I think it's 24 hours. Yeah, you need to rest for at least a good 24 hours, or a full night cycle to recharge them. He goes, however, your spore blast is not attached to your spore pool. The spore blast will always be available. Says so. Some of our abilities require more spores than others. So just be mindful of how many spores you're using every time you use it. Every time you dip from the spore pool. And then he looks at you, Quill, and he goes, oh, you can put your clothes back on now. I am so sorry, sir.
You pull it already started. Like when he looked and saw his rib was fine, he's like, oh.
He goes,
Just let him ramble on.
He's like, you will be invaluable to these folks if you can master when and where to use your abilities. He goes, the androgyny's biggest contribution to anything is our ability to cure.
Mhm.
Says, all right. Says, well, I suppose we should get headed towards the tower then, or at least past the tower. I don't know where we're going at this point.
Agaricus says, I'll follow you.
He looks at you, Uquil, and goes, I'll follow you.
Equal starts.
You begin squeezing through the lagamites, and everybody starts to follow, and Yucca goes, I'm gonna have to trail behind a little bit, guys. It's gonna take me a minute to figure out. Yeah. He starts like trying to put his arm through, and he's just looking around, and he's like, He's like, screw this, and he starts climbing one. He climbs up one and then jumps from it and latches onto another one. And Dodd's like, oh, that's not inconspicuous at all. Going back to Android, Zoltan, and Otis. You guys still with me? Or should we call it for tonight?
I'm with you if Otis is.
Zoltan?
I'm still here.
Zoltan, you still game?
It's game.
Still game. He's still game. All right, Otis. Yeah. I won't keep you up much longer, bud. I figured if we were gonna push this session a little bit, I wanted to get a little bit more out of side B. You know what I mean? So yeah. So we'll do it. We'll do it. Yeah. So you guys have your meal, and by the time you guys are like up and we're just gonna fast forward and say you guys ate and then went back to the Forgotten Palace to your separate rooms to rest. Zoltan, just out of curiosity, are you curious about Chew Me at all?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, she exists.
I was going to ask about that because I remember the buns I were taking care of her.
Right. There are a few Bunzai inside the tea house just kind of drinking and playing some mahjong, just hanging out. They're playing with like a couple of the Fang Zhong, some panda bear men, as it were,
Oh, God.
and they're just hanging out, playing mahjong. You're not quite sure where the Bunzai are all staying or where they would have Chumi. You know what I mean? But there are Bunzai, but they all came in groups, so you do have some Bunzai you can inquire about her with, if you so wish.
I shall keep her out of business so she doesn't get in any more trouble.
Fair enough. So yeah, with that said, you unless there's anything anybody else wants to do, we are going to push on to the next day. We'll just say you all went back and went to sleep or whatever it is that you do. Is there any kind of rituals or anything you guys want to do before I close out this night?
Think about Chumi intimately. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, why would you tell everybody that?
Nice.
I don't need to know.
I was just saying.
He said infinitely. Good grief.
No, intimately.
Oh, good grief. That's even worse. What the crap? All right. Well, we all know what Zoltan did. Android, do you actually sleep or do you go into your meditative state?
Probably meditative state.
Okay. Otis, how about you?
Otis is knocked off. hook out.
He just walks in there and just face plants right on the deal and just goes right to sleep.
Been a long day.
What does Android meditate about? I'm not even going to ask anything about Zoltan. What does Android
Wow,
meditate about?
That's right.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We already know what Zoltan is doing.
We know what Zoltan's meditating on. If it was something specific, I think it would be like the implication of potentially screwing up a place in time that is not theirs somehow, you know, and just hoping that it's okay.
All right. So the night passes and you all get up the next day. And as you're coming out into the foyer or the grand hall, the opening hall, the first hall of the Forgotten Palace, you all have been there many a times. It has become almost like familiar to you now. Like, you guys have only been there for what would be like 4 days now, the equivalent of 4 days, really. And yet it feels like you guys have been here forever. You know, you've come to know these people. You've made friends with some of them, enemies out of others. And it just, I don't want to say it feels like home, but it feels comfortable to you now. Like, so much so that you guys aren't really like coming out sheepishly like you used to, you know, being like, oh, okay, you know, you don't feel like you're guests in a hotel anymore. You're kind of beginning to treat this like it's a, you know, a second base of operations, as it were. And even though Otis hasn't been here nearly as long as you guys have, Otis is just the type that wherever he goes, wherever he lays his head, that is his home.
If he is told to make himself at home, he is taking that shit literally.
Otis, is it fair to say you got up before all the others and actually found some food? And so you're like sitting there just munching on some food while,
Oh,
you know, yeah. So you
Stuffing my face.
yeah, Otis has got some what would you call it? Some muffins, but they're like made with like walnuts and bread, and it's sweet. It's got like honey glaze on it, Otis, and you've got like several of them that you're just munching down as you come walking up to the others, and there's Solar waiting for you guys inside the hall, and he's like, I'm sorry I had to put everything on hold, gentlemen. I had to get some answers. And then he looks at you, Zoltan, real fast, and he goes, and no, I didn't get any, in case you're wondering.
Oh,
It seems as though I am on a need-to-know basis just as much as the rest of you when it comes to certain things. And he says this almost like, there's almost like a bittersweetness in his voice. Like, he realizes that for the first time, you guys are watching him and you realize, oh, Solar's not completely in the loop either on some things. He says, so...
And Solar a muffin.
Solar looks at the muffin and sets it on the ground and pecks the crap out of it. I mean, he's like, this is really freaking good. And just starts it. He's like, I haven't eaten. Just tears it up. He looks at you, Otis, and he's like, thank you.
You're welcome, one another.
He just takes it and starts pecking the crap out of it, too. He's like, oh, I needed this. He flies over to your shoulder, Android, and he says, shall we go then?
Yeah, why
Wait,
not?
what'd you say?
He says, shall we go then?
Oh, yeah. That sounds good.
Says, all right. And you all step outside and he hops off your shoulder and the beam of light engulfs his body, and you watch as inside the light he just grows to huge size as he becomes this giant eagle. This giant glistening eagle. People are stopping and looking at you guys, and some of the guards act like they want to pull swords while their like superiors like stop them and they say, "They're friends of the Chosen One. They're on business." And the guards just begrudgingly sheath their sword, like, you know, put their swords away, but they're like eyeing you very cautiously.
Wait, aren't we supposed to bring yin and yang with us?
Android?
Do what?
Aren't we supposed to bring yin and yang with us?
Were we supposed to bring them with us to Fang Titan, or were we just supposed to bring them back with us?
I thought we were
Back
supposed
home.
to bring them back back to our home.
Yeah, I didn't think she wanted us to bring them with us to meet the weird. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. You could be right. I might have misunderstood. I thought it was just, bring them back home with us.
I don't remember the whole thing. I just know that we were supposed to bring them with us somewhere.
Solar kind of chimes in and goes, "Well, it was to my understanding she just wanted you to bring him back to Lorethian."
Okay.
He goes, if not, we can always just swoop back and pick him up, but let's take care of this now."
Okay, good deal.
He goes, they're
Look
kind of,
note of it.
he's like, they're kind of goofy, aren't they? And he like holds down a wing for you guys to climb up.
Very much.
Most definitely, and I enjoy it.
Solar like flaps his wings and takes you guys up in the air, and he says, "Now, Android, did you get a good look at the map?"
Oh yes. You see,
He
should
nods
be
and
over here somewhere.
says, "All right."
Oh.
He begins flying in that direction. Again, the weather is absolutely terrible. It's not, yeah, it has not let up. It's not pouring rain, but again, it is a drizzle and everything is like in a perpetual twilight. But every once in a while, like lightning flashes and thunder hits, and Solar says, "Oh, I hope it doesn't just start a downpour while we're up here."
Mm-hmm.
He begins like flying a little low. He's
It
like,
says, "Gee, I bet it'd be a nice day if someone didn't mess up the weather."
Can't believe you, Android.
he's like, "Well, I'm gonna fly a little low, guys, which will take me a little bit longer to get there." He's like, "But with all that armor that you're wearing, Otis, you're like a natural lightning rod." He's like, "I mean no offense by that, but I really just don't want to get struck by lightning in the back, you know? You know what I mean?"
I mean, if I did, at least then I could say I have a shocking personality.
Okay, I'm pushing Otis off.
Removed from the chat.
Sorry, all you golden wonders. Otis had to leave the group again.
Oh no.
It takes a little while, but you all finally make it there. But it's because of the height that Solar has to fly and at the speed he's flying and everything. By the time you get there, the day is already beginning to waver and night is beginning to climb into the sky once more. And it is unmistakable, though, when you start getting close because the weather gets extremely worse. The wind begins to blow and the rain begins to actually downpour, and Solar is having a hard time flapping his wings. And he goes, "Oh man, I don't know." He's like, "I've never met wind force like this before." He says, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to fly through this, you guys." He goes, "We may have to land short of our destination."
Well, better that than falling to our peril.
Oh no, walking.
I shall see. Where'd it go?
He all like makes an intro for what he's about to do and then just completely poops the bed. Like, I got that. Where'd it go?
trying to figure out where it went. Opened up my spell page and then opened up the books, and then the spell page disappeared.
It says, I'm just trying to figure out where it went. Where did it go? Oddly enough, that's what he was saying last night when he was thinking about me.
It was.
Dang.
It was.
Dang.
Anyway, where is it in? 7th level spell? I'm gonna use my spell control weather.
All right. So you start trying to manipulate the weather, and the weather is not responding to you. It is almost like it's got a mind of its own. Like it is not to be tamed. And because of this, because you are in tune with nature in such a way, it pretty much tells you as much. It doesn't say it in words. It's more like a feeling, like this is not yours to control. This is the natural recourse, basically. Solar watches you, Zoltan, and he's like, well, that was a nice try there, buddy. And he begins to float down. He finds a spot, a pathway that possibly can lead up to where you guys are headed. It is in fact, it's not even a unfinished dirt path or anything. There is actual cobblestone, and it is a cobblestone pathway that leads underneath a gate of a sorts. It's even got a stone statue built there next to it as he lands at it, and he says, well, looks like this place isn't so unfamiliar. It looks, you guys can tell just by the look of it and how unkempt it is. He's like, it looks like nobody's used this path in a while, but I wonder if this is the path that Yin and Yang found earlier when they were talking.
Yeah, maybe.
It was perhaps once upon a time this place was a well-used thing, And he lets you guys off his back, and he shrinks back down and flies and lands on your shoulder. He says, we can he goes, look at it this way, it could be worse. It could be an unused path. And you, unless there's any objections, I'm just gonna say you guys start walking that path up into the mountain area, further in.
No.
Yeah, the path is long, and it is a bit of a difficult journey. But again, it could be a lot worse. It never one time takes you out into the wilderness or anything. It is a path that winds and bends through the mountainside and everything, and eventually brings you guys up to a set of steps. And these steps are built into the mountainside, but they are worked steps. They are finished steps. These aren't steps that that formed naturally. This was made by somebody. And there's gotta be at least 100 of them just going up into in between this mountain range, just taking you up. And as you look up it, you can see what appears to be it looks like it mesas at the top, tables at the top. There's some kind of platform or something up there. Solar's oh, there had to be steps. He goes, oh wait, what am I doing? And he just starts flying up there. Yeah. He's oh, yeah.
Go off.
He's well,
I can do that too. I'm gonna turn into a bird and follow him.
So Zoltan, your bones crack and break, and you shrink down and grow feathers. Yeah, because you have Solar as an example, you turn into an eagle as well and fly up there and start following Solar.
Otis throws a rock at Zoltan.
Huh. Zoltan, as you're flying up there, this rock just boom off the back of your head, and you kind of dip and fly back up. You're like, yeah.
Andrew, did you see that? What the heck happened there?
I don't know. He can do that.
So, with just Otis and Android, I guess you guys begin making.
Walking.
Yeah, you guys begin walking up the stairs. Android, you start making it up there at a fairly brisk pace. Otis, these stairs are kind of big for you, so it's
I'm struggling.
yeah, it's kind of like climbing more than walking, but you're just getting up there. Zoltan, you get up there with Solar, and even though you guys are flying, you're still not moving at such a fast pace because you are flying up and you are flying into pretty crappy weather, and the wind is working against you, but you guys make it up there a few minutes before the others, and it is such an arduous journey you guys have made that by now the sun is just down and night has fallen. You get up there, and what you see, Zoltan, completely blows your mind. Like, both you and Solar stop dead in your tracks, and just where you are is, yes, these stairs do lead up to a platform that sits in between two peaks of a mountain. And that's it. That's all that's up here is a platform with what looks like an altar that hasn't been used in an age. And out there before you, it is what's actually caused you and Solar to just stop. Like, both your mouths are just hanging open agape. Android, you finally make it up to the top, and you're kind of breathing heavily, and you kind of double over for a minute to catch your breath, and then when you look around and you see the platform and everything that I've described to Zoltan, and then you see what Zoltan and Solar are looking at, and your mouth just kind of drops agape as well. Eventually, just a few seconds behind you, Otis, you come crawling up there. Again, you see the platform, you kind of catch your breath, and then you see what everybody else sees and what everybody is looking at right now. You see the figure of a being whose size is immense. This is easily probably the largest being you have ever beholden in your entire lives. Beheld in your entire lives. His size is without measure. The closest thing I can think of to relate it to you, Otis, and you, Android, is the unknown. How large the unknown was is that you could see him from miles away. You know, that's how large he was. That when you guys faced him, you had to like literally fly off a cliff and fly towards him to just get to him. And when you got to him, he was so large you could like climb his body like a beanstalk. And that is the closest thing that you can even compare to this. And this is even larger than that. He is so massive that it is impossible to even gauge just how far away from you he actually is. Like, you can't even gauge it. You know, you could say, oh, he's a couple of miles off, he's whatever. No, like, he is so large, it's next to impossible to even tell. He looks like he's made out of a celestial body. He looks like he's like made out of pure elemental energy, and within him dances the universe. And he holds a giant lightning, like it is actual lightning like a lightning rod, but it's made out of pure lightning, and he is striking it to the ground, causing the rain to just form and disperse away from him. And he is causing the storms. And he looks upon you guys, as you stand on that platform. And he says, "Who dares come to the immortal shrine of Fang Titan?" Oh, F.
Yeah, Oda is, even though he's small, just kind of nudges Android for him, like, this is all you.
Yeah. Android steps forward and does his most practiced, dignified bow. He says, I am Android Prison, and I seek an audience with the Honorable Fang Titan.
He like strikes the lightning on the ground, and it just sparks up around his body and into the sky and shoots across the sky. And often it shoots across the sky so far that eventually you lose sight of it, but you can hear the effect when it thunders and rain is just pouring down on you guys now. He says, "Who is you that would dare to speak with the Honorable Fang Titan? I do not know an android Arisen." And he looks and he goes, "You are but specks in my presence." He says, "If my vision wasn't so keen, if my hearing wasn't so alert, if my senses weren't so great," and he points one massive finger in your direction, Otis. He's like, "You would be but invisible to me. And yet, all of you are nothing but specks of dust." He goes,
Just a slow clap. Good for you.
Otis, even with his anger issues, just is like, "Yeah, well, F you, bud." He's like, "I wait for that which is trying to destroy me. Only them I have my questions for. Be gone from me, you mortals. You foolish beings who dare walk into the presence of Fang Titan. It is only for them that I have my questions, and they will answer me."
At that, I'm gonna say Android goes to his knees, and bows further, and he says, "Then it be we that ye seek."
He says, "What?" And when he says "what," his voice like booms. Like it sounds like thunder, just ooh, and it echoes throughout the mountainside and the canyons. He says, "You?" He says, "But you are nothing."
Android says, I realize that, and in my infinite foolishness, I have brought about a great calamity which I seek to reverse."
Says, tell me of this calamity, for I cannot feel my sister or brother in my heart anymore."
So, Android tells him the stories, starting with Mech Lutcon and why he was there, leading up to, the acquirances of the weirds, and then he presents them to him. Because I believe I still have both of them in my bag of holding.
You do. You have the Water of Life and the
and
Alchemist Stone.
Right.
So you pull them both out and lay them before him. He says,
I guess I put my forehead against the ground too,
He's like,
Otis is just standing on the sideline, just like watching the whole thing go down.
Yeah. Giving Android like a wide berth, are you? Out of curiosity, is Zoltan still in bird form?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you watch as Solar goes and stands beside Android in his celestial glory, and for whatever reason, he begins to glow even more than he normally does and shimmer a little bit. And Fang Titan takes notice to Solar and gazes at him for a long time.
Oh, while he's doing that, I'm gonna go to the other side of Android and go back to my original form.
You like transform back into like your bones break and the feathers fall off and you just grow out to normal size. And are you standing beside Android, or are you kneeling like he is to the ground?
I'm kneeling.
All right, so both of you are just kind of laying prostrate almost, with your faces down on the ground, and Solar's standing there, and Fang Titan says, "A celestial. Impressive." And then he looks at the alchemist stone and the water of life, and he says, "That selfish hag!" And his voice just booms again. Otis, it almost like topples you over. It hits with such a force, but you manage to keep your balance about you. He says, "Oh, that foolish sister of mine. She would have never been a prisoner of the Mechaluchicans in the first place if she hadn't been so foolish. I bet she told you that they kidnapped her, didn't she?"
That is correct. I was fooled.
He scoffs. He's like, "Oh, she became a prisoner of theirs. Yes. But the stupid witch could not be just satisfied being what we are. The conduits of the elemental planes. Oh no, she had to try and make herself a goddess amongst those who are greedy. And when they saw what she could do, well, here we are." He says, "I suppose you want my essence as well."
Well, it would be foolish for me to lie further. Yes, unfortunately, it is what we ask of you. We must set things to balance in the elementals, in the elemental planes.
He says, "And so ends an era." And with that, the lightning dissipates in his hands. He says, "Do you know what these things can do? These relics that you have? The very hearts and souls of my brother and sister?"
I perish the thought, sir. I do not intend to misuse them. I am trying to be very conscientious that they are far greater than what I probably understand.
Says, "Well, the water of life. It will do just exactly that." Says, "But it will not resurrect something that is already dead. It is the water of life." He goes, "If you can figure that out, then you'll know when you need to use it." Says, "The alchemist stone will put you in touch with nature. It will give you boundless ability." Says, "Because now those who were once in touch with nature it's slowly slipping away from them." He looks at you, Zoltan, and he says, "You're the one that tried to control the weather against me, aren't you?"
I, yeah, I'm still bowing. I said yes. Yes, I am.
He just laughs, and it's like darkness, just and it just booms and echoes out, and he goes, "Silly lad." He
Otis
says,
chuckles alongside.
yeah. He's like, that's my weather to control. He goes, but take heed, because that gift that you draw upon, it will one day leave you if you do not fix this issue. He's like, pretty soon you won't have the element of Terran to call upon. And with that, you watch as something glowing leaves his hand. And at first it's as big as his fist, like it is massive. And then as it starts to float in your guys' direction, it shrinks down smaller and smaller till it eventually reaches you. And it is a bottle that looks like it's got living wind inside of it. He says, that is my essence. My gift to you. My contribution to this cause. And he starts to you can tell that he's kind of breathing heavily now. He says, oh, I was hoping that this wasn't going to take effect so quickly, but my time is short. So I should tell you what you have there. That is the eye of the storm. Think of a place, and it will take you there. It will give you boundless travel. But take heed. Be sure you know of the place. Be sure whoever uses it has a clear picture of it in their mind's eye. Or you could end up at the bottom of the ocean. Or in a wall. Understood?
Understood.
Understood. I will not use it ever.
When you say that, his laugh booms again, Otis. He's like, I'm sorry I called you a speck.
I mean, it's all good. Would have called me a speck too.
He just smiles and falls down on his butt, just and just kind of sits forward, resting his arms on his knees as he pulls his legs back, He's just kind of sitting there and he's breathing heavily. He goes, I didn't think I'd ever have to contemplate death. He goes, I am the mighty Fang Titan. I've been here longer than most of the denizens of this land.
Then it's only right that you should die by your own hand.
He looks at you, Android, and he goes, I'm scared. And when he says that, he just turns into a giant gust of wind that I'm going to need everybody to roll a balance.
Oh, God.
About Otis.
all of you go flying backwards. Solar flies up in the air and it pushes him back even. He goes fluttering off and all of you just go flying backwards down off the pedestal back down the stairs. Just you guys don't fall completely down the stairs. You manage to get your bearings, but you guys are kind of bruised up and battered from that one. That was tough. It does. Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't think it was gonna do that, but it does. 116 subdual damage to all of you.
Huh.
Jesus.
Oh, I'm fucking
Jesus.
unconscious.
Did anybody else get knocked out from that?
How does that work? Does it have to match your max HP?
It has
Yeah,
to.
it
It
builds
has
up
to be
to your-
greater. Yeah, it has to be greater than your max HP.
Oh, you said 116?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fine.
All right.
I'm good.
All right. And Android's knocked out, so Android actually rolls down the stairs a good ways, and he's just out, just sprawled out, just ugh. You know what I mean?
No. Okay.
Solar goes flying down. He's like, "Oh my gosh!" He's like,
Gonna go over to Android just to make sure he's okay.
roll a heal check for me."
Can I pull out my sword and use?
It's not this. It's not that kind of damage.
That's boring.
Oh yeah, Otis, you straight up like check Android out and stuff. He's busted up. He's got like a busted lip and a bruised cheek and everything, and you can feel that like a few of his ribs are busted now, and he's just hurt. Luckily, he's got no broken arms or legs or anything. But you begin to pull out like bandages and stuff, and you bandage his ribs and stuff, and get out some smelling salts and whatnot, and you wake him up, healing him for okay. Come on, dang it. 84 points of that subdual damage.
What a lad. Beautiful job. I'm gonna go over to Otis and see if he's alright. Check up on him, make sure he's doing bueno.
Yeah, you guys are all busted up, still pretty good. Like, that hurt. Like, you guys can feel that, like, some of your, like, you're bruised, and maybe maybe your ribs are cracked a little bit as well. That was really rough. Android, does that 84 does that bring you back to consciousness?
Like, what would that put me at? And it should. I think my max HP is 112. So I mean, if he healed me for 84 points of subdual damage, that should put me at like 20 something. Is that right? 30 something.
I can do the math.
30.
116.
I'm just a little. I have a tentative grasp on the rules for subdual damage.
So it'll put you at 32 points of subdual damage, is what it'll do, which will drop you greatly underneath your max HP. So yeah, you would wake up. You wake up, you realize your nose is broken and your ribs are cracked.
And I'm emotionally wounded that he told me that he was scared.
Yeah. Just before he became nothing. You guys look around and you realize you don't have any of those artifacts.
Huh.
The Water of Life, the Eye of the Storm,
I've got
and the...
shit in me, dude.
Bruh.
So you guys make your way back.
Gotta run back up.
Yeah. You guys,
Oh my
you guys make your way back up there, and you realize that all three items are still sitting right where they left.
Oh, thank goodness.
It is almost like that force of wind that did not phase them at all. An element cannot hurt an element, as it were. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks
Yeah,
for
okay,
rescuing
is
for
that-
that.
Sorry.
Do what? I'm sorry?
Nah, my bad. Go for it, Otis.
I was gonna say, is that how it was with the other two?
Hell no.
I don't think it was quite as like chaotic like that. Not that I remember anyway. Maybe we were just better prepared for it.
No, the water weird just died.
She just became like a thing of like droplets. It looked like tears.
Yeah,
it looked
peaceful.
like tears falling in a waterfall. The Terran weird, he just sat down and became like
he became an old
petrified
tree.
wood. Yeah, he became like petrified wood, and then like turned to dust.
What have y'all done?
A lot.
What is
I
yours?
am gonna scoop those up.
All right. So you pick up the water of life in your hands. You pick up the alchemist's stone. And now you have the new essence, as it were, the Eye of the Storm. And you like you said, it is basically, it looks like a living air, a living whirlwind inside this bottle. And he said, it is a fast travel item. If you can picture the place you need to go perfectly in your mind's eye, it will take you there.
How nice.
The alchemist stone will give somebody like a supercharge to nature, like the ability to basically, harness it. And the water of life basically will do just that. That one's kind of a riddle. He said it cannot raise the dead, but it is the water of life.
I'm going to put them into my bag of holding.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna look at the group and be like, we can try the fast travel if y'all want.
No.
But
when we get
for now, I think it's okay to just fly traditional.
Normally
let me
Otis would be
think.
all about that shit, but no. He's just like, no.
Solar looks up at the sky and the rain has stopped being so chaotic and it's just becoming like a regular rainstorm, and he goes, oh. He goes, not to alarm everybody or anything. I originally thought that this storm was pretty wild, but it kind of feels like the rain is dying out now. And that actually feels worse to me.
Well, then I suggest we go.
He says, quite. And he grows to his huge form again. The light covers his body, and you watch as he shifts within it as he becomes huge again. And he goes, well, here's one thing. I can fly pretty normal now in this.
Probably a good thing, because Android's still a little beat up.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be walking right now.
He's like, oh, yeah. You almost died. He picks you guys up
Yeah, that
onto
wasn't good.
his back. He's like, man.
Thank God I'm back, huh?
For sure.
He like wafts his wings up into the air and begins to fly in the direction of the Forgotten City. He's like, he goes, so after we get back, we pick up Yin and Yang, and then where to?
fast travel to
Oh, fuck.
Mm,
We really need to go to the East Underworld, but having Yin and Yang with us poses an issue. Do we take them with us to East Underworld? And yeah, I didn't think
No, I
so.
don't
We
think
should
that's
just
a
go
good
ahead and take them to Yoshi first thing, huh?
see.
yeah, and also
Wonderful.
maybe we shouldn't use the fast travel bottle to do so.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go ahead, we try the fast travel once we get Yin and Yang. We take them to Yoshi. and then we go back to look for Uquil and Agaricus. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Why
All
not?
right.
What else we got to lose?
All right. 1, 2, 3, team.
So hard, he's just nodding his head. He's like, yeah. Well, don't worry, guys. As bad as things seem, they kind of seem like they're looking up, right?
Trying.
Unless you jinx it.
He says, oh, I'm not going to jinx anything. I'm a luck dragon. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
Yeah, had to throw a little never-ending story.
With your water of life, you just couldn't help yourself.
The what? What'd you say?
I said, with your water of life, you just couldn't help yourself.
My water of life. That's right. That's right. And you guys begin to head towards the forgotten city, the forgotten palace, in order to pick up Yin and Yang, where you can drop them off with Yoshi. And I think that is a good place to end tonight's session, y'all.
Word.
Yeah.
I feel like that is plenty. All right, so with our extended session here tonight, I will chop that up into parts A and B, and work to post them both consecutively. I won't wait 1 week and then post the other. I'll just post them both as kind of like a companions. But yeah, since we're closing this out, I want to thank all you Golden Wonders out there who joined us for both these sessions, our extended session. Thank you all so much. We got a lot of people out there who are watching and getting into it, so I really appreciate that. It warms my heart. I want to thank them old school gamers. That's AGTX the Dragons, Icy Hot.
Yeah.
Icy Hot _2305, Kassid69, who I think might be out again, but that's okay. Yeah.
Fucking good.
Tempest Inferno and Android.
That's me.
Yeah. I'm Lord Pog, and I just want everybody to know, them old school gamers and you Golden Wonders out there, I love you all. I couldn't ask for a better audience, and I couldn't ask for a better group of players, man. Thank you, everybody, for helping me bring this story to life. Thank you for helping me write this story. And, yeah. Y'all come back now. Stay golden. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Don't do
No.
school, stand drugs.
Good morning.